everybody? Welcome back. There it is. All right, I messed up. We nailed it, though. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Tactical Tuesday. We got another live stream going on, and it was interesting because last night wasn't 100% sure what I was going to live stream about today. Thinking about talking about John Lennon taking down Nola with his Tyranids. And then right in my lap, serendipitously, mana from the heavens fell in a leak. We should call Games Workshop's packing facility a colander because it is full of leaks. And thankfully for us, it gave us some amazing Tyranid leaks of this new Army of Renown. So that's what we're talking about today. I'm here with Matt from Dice Check. What's up, Matt? How's it going?
Hey, man. I'm sorry I don't have my camera, but it's okay. You'll get more views because people don't want to see my face anyways. So you'll trick them.
There you go. Sorry, chat. We've robbed you some delicious face cam, but that's okay. We're second
honestly,
monitor content for the most part anyway, I feel like. So.
Yeah, right? Like, honestly, have you ever seen me and Trevi in the same room? We could be the same person. You guys don't know.
Literally. This is all pre-recorded. Yeah. And it's myself talking to myself.
You're such a good actor.
I know.
You're so good.
I
you have so much range.
Two voices. That's incredible, really. All right. Well, we got some intro stuff to get through. First off, Matt, can you tell us a little bit about Dice Check? I'm sure more people know about Dice Check than this channel, but if you just want to throw down where people can reach you and reach the Dice Check channel, let us know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So Dice Check is a YouTube channel where we play 40K. As of right now, it's mostly just 40K. But we do stuff like Magic the Gathering and board games and stuff like that. We also do live streams every single Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at twitch.tv/DiceCheck. And we stream battle reports and stuff like that. And we try to do our best to make it the best streamed battle report that we can possibly do. So it's not just top down and stuff like that. But we try to implement graphics and, keep it entertaining.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I know. You guys are super fun to watch. All the games they're certainly the funniest and most energetic games, I think, on at least on Twitch for sure. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. We try. It's all pre-recorded. All of it's pre-recorded.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why you can show up and maybe I'll get on that one time. That'll be an awkward one though. So
because I would love that.
Be on camera at the same time. That would be the problem.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true. That's true.
I mean, I couldn't be on camera at the same time as myself. Is what I'm trying to say. By the way, chat, everybody, we got a new giveaway for December for this channel. Exclamation point giveaway in the chat if you want to join that. In celebration of getting some sick new super broken Tyranid rules, we're going to give it away a Tyranid army. So it's going to be a start collecting box and a Hive Tyrant. Get on in there. There's a billion ways to enter, and it's going to be sweet. So jump on in that giveaway. Exclamation point giveaway in the chat if you want to join that. That's going to be run all the way through the end of December. If you're a patron, you get extra entry. That one's automatic, though. You don't have to do anything for that, which is sweet. And yeah, what we're talking about today is this sweet Army of Renown. I saw some people asking, what is an Army of Renown? So, Matt, can you give us a quick breakdown on exactly what an Army of Renown in 40K is?
Yes. Yeah, Army of Renown is a synonym for something that's busted. That's the best.
There are no bad Army of Renowns in 40K. For sure.
So an Army of Renown is basically a special, it's supposed to be something that's more for narrative, but people are use it for competitive stuff as well. But it's a certain buff to your army as long as you follow certain rules and restrictions that you have to run for your army. It's like Speedwogs. I think there's a Speedwog for orcs that just came out.
Yeah,
with
Speedwog came out in Critical Mass. Yeah, the last Octarius.
Yeah, and in that one, you just have to run a mass amount of buggies and stuff like that. Which, if you're orcs, you're used to that already, right?
Yeah. So, some important qualifiers basically is that an Army of Renown. It's a special bonus you can get to your army, like you mentioned, but it comes with some restrictions. So it molds the way in which you have to build your list. So there are certain units that are going to be locked to you that you can't take if you want those Army of Renown bonuses. And it also will affect the entirety of your list. It's not just a specialist detachment or something like that like we saw in 8th edition. It's a special army list. So your whole army both has to follow the restrictions, but then also gets the benefits. They oftentimes give you extra Warlord traits. In this case, we get some Psychic Powers, which is sweet. They give you additional Stratagems to use. It's kind of like a little Codex supplement kind of deal.
Yeah.
But with the downside is that, you know, your unit selection is restricted. Oftentimes, it will replace your sub-faction abilities as well with new ones. The interesting part there is that typically they don't actually replace like your sub-faction keyword, so you will still get any other benefits of the sub-faction, but normally they'll take away your sub-faction ability, so your chapter tactic essentially, and give you something else on the units that qualify for it.
Yeah. So if you run Army of Renown for this, what is it? Crusher Stampede for Tyranids, you can still run stuff like Kraken, you can still run Leviathan, you can still you still get those keywords and everything like that.
Yeah, so like for example, if you were to play Kraken, one of the downsides of this particular Army of Renown is that you don't get High Fleet adaptation. So the Kraken adaptation of being able to fall back in charge and rolling 3d6 for your advance roll and dropping the lowest does not apply. However, you'd still get the Kraken stratagem and Psychic Power if you want to use those.
Yeah.
I think in that case, 90% of the time, I guess like almost every Tyranid list, is that you're probably going to be playing this one in Leviathan to get all the extra stratagems because you're not really worried about which High Fleet adaptation you're going to get. But interestingly, this one actually replaces the adaptation, or I should say, removes the adaptation, and you get a different ability that isn't technically a High Fleet adaptation, because that does matter. On all of your models, oftentimes, I think we saw this for like... for some of the Adeptus Mechanicus ones and the Orc ones as well, they will only replace the sub-action ability on specific units that are like particularly thematic. This one actually gives you a new ability on literally everything in the army, which is pretty rare for an Army of Renown. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Pretty good stuff. Yeah.
This is probably one of the best Army of Renowns that GW has dropped.
Yeah, it's like this and Skitarii, the Skitarii one that are fighting veteran Skitarii Vanguard or whatever.
Yeah.
Or veteran cohort, I think. The other thing to keep in mind for this one is that, or for all armies of renown, is that we talked about them being sort of more narratively play-centric, and generally speaking, that's the case. Every once in a while, you stumble into one that's super duper good, and you want to play it competitively, and you can. They're just match play legal all the time, so you just play this wherever. You can go to a tournament, you can play it. You can go to your league night and play it. Wherever you want to play it, you can do it. I don't know how it operates with Crusade. I've never played Crusade before, but maybe it works there.
I'd imagine that it works in Crusade.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so. I would love to run it and in a Crusade. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, you're just leveling up all your big monsters. Hell yeah.
Dude, can you imagine a Nidzilla Crusade? You start off with like a Hive Tyrant and like a Carnifex, and they just keep getting stronger from there with this.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
That'd be so sick. All right, so let's talk about the actual rules that are in this. It's not a super long document, but there's basically no bad stuff in here, so it's pretty dense. We'll talk about the basic restrictions and benefits first. There are some pretty hefty restrictions, especially given how Tyranids typically play. First off, the number one line here: you can't play any swarms. Our poor Ripper swarms, they're gone.
Womp, womp. Yeah,
you can't play them.
Dude, no Ripper swarms, no Sky Slasher swarms.
No Sky Slashy boys. It's so sad.
Yeah.
So I was talking about this on stream yesterday, and I totally missed that first line, and I was like, this will be fine. You just take a billion Rippers, and then the rest of your list is monsters. And everyone's like, no, because it's way worse.
I mean, like, dude, can you imagine running Rippers in this list and then getting them all with a 5+ invuln? And like,
I definitely thought they had a 5+
-1 damage.
I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
But they don't. That's not how that works. You can't take Rippers. You also can't take any models. It's a little awkwardly worded, but you can't take models with a wounds characteristic of 2 or less, which means everything in your army must be a 3 wounder or higher. So basically, for troops, you're locked into warriors. Because you can't take the Rippers and you can't take the little guys. So no Devoured Termagants, no Gene Stealers, all that stuff is out if you want to play this army. Fortunately, warriors are sick right now, so that's not actually that big a deal. You just have to be willing to shell out like the $17 a model that they cost.
And you also can't take gargoyles either.
Right, gargoyles. Yeah. So your access to kind of utility units is going to be really restricted, which very very much changes how the list is going to play. Some additional restrictions there. All of your non-monster units have to be shepherded. They have to have a big boy bringing them to the battle. You can only have one non-monster for each monster in your army. So for all of those warrior units and stuff you're going to be taking, you have to have at least one big guy. That's not actually the biggest of deals, because obviously the whole goal of the list is to play the big monsters, so it has a lot of stuff that benefits them. And you can take things like Swarmlord and Hive Tyrants, which will also unlock those additional non-monster choices. So in the list that I built so far, it hasn't actually been that big of a deal, but it is an additional restriction to bring.
You can also go ham. You can also go ham and just not take anything that's not a monster.
Sure. You just be like, we're doing Spearhead Detachment. Everyone's a Hyrule. Let's go.
Yeah. You could totally do that, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's like super thematic, and there's some some abilities to make that much more reasonable. I guess much more competitive than it would be without that. You also can't soup in this list, so you must be the same Hive Fleet, so you cannot take multiple Hive Fleets. No Kronos plus Leviathan or Kronos plus Kraken. It's all one Hive Fleet, and it all has to have the Tyranids keyword, which I think might still allow you to take Gene Stealer Cult, but I imagine that is not the intention. Although the new Gene Stealer Cult stuff, is that Tyranid keyworded? I don't remember now. I saw that
I'm pretty sure you can't.
Sheet one time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't take GSC just because it says they have to be drawn from the same Hive Fleet.
Right.
And so
I guess that may be questionable, but we could move forward assuming that the intention is probably you can't take Gene Stealer Cult stuff. That said, you get a million benefits. They are a little bit awkwardly worded because it's Games Workshop, and that's just how things roll. The units, you'll get the Crusher Stampede keyword, which unlocks them for all the stratagems and stuff that target Crusher Stampede models. Your monsters get one quote-unquote sub-faction trait. It's not actually a sub-faction trait. It's just an extra ability you get on top of your normal sub-faction trait. And then your non-monsters get a different one. However, the two are basically identical. Monsters just have extra benefits. So the non-monsters lose their Hive Fleet adaptation. So like we talked about before, you don't get your sub-faction ability, but you keep your keyword, and you get a 5+ invulnerable save. Monsters, on top of that, also gain 1 point of damage reduction. So damage is reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1.
So good.
Oh my god. And they count as the number of models equal to their remaining wounds for determining control of objective markers. And this is why, like, talking about playing 6 Hyrudules, man, is a real thing. Because normally, your opponent's just like, I run one dude on the objective, it's contested, you don't score primary. And I'm like, no. I made 10 models, sir.
Like, you know what this is? You know when the data slate came out and Imperial Knights got like OBSEC on their knights and they count as 10? It's like GW just said, or it's like Tyranids just said, here, hold my beer.
Right, yeah. And I'm happy your costing count is 18, sir. Sit down.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
and we don't even need a free Blade Lance ability to get access to that option.
Yeah. It is crazy.
Yeah. So one thing, I think, we talked about Leviathan a little bit earlier, but I think the important thing to note there, and one of the reasons that I think we probably almost every time see this list in Leviathan, is that you get that 1 CP Hive Mind Imperative to give anything within 12 inches of a St. Ives creature objective secured for a round. So you can have a single, 18 wounder like a Demacaron or a Hyrule counts as 18 objective secured models on an objective, which is that's tough to contest. You're not taking that objective away anytime soon. So that's very good. That's all very good.
Incredibly good. It's so incredibly good. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
What people were doing with gargoyles, where they would just pop the CP and then just sling it out onto objective to steal it.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't need that
Yeah,
anymore.
you
You can
just-
literally do this.
There's a hype
Yeah,
time.
you could do this with
Harridan is
edema.
models.
Yeah, you could do it with edema. You could do it with I think you could do it with a harpy because harpy doesn't have aircraft.
Yeah,
So
they're
like
flyer
you can
battlefield role, but they're not aircraft keyworded, so they don't.
yeah, so they can hold an
downsides.
objective. So yeah, you can give it OBSEC and then just move it 30 inches up the board, snipe an objective, and just say it's mine now.
Yep.
Like that is crazy.
Yep. Yeah, that's all super good. You also get access to the Warlord traits, stratagems, and psychic powers. And so let's talk about those. I know we've mostly covered all of the abilities already, but is there any that like particularly stand out to you out of the benefits and restrictions that you think are going to be super impactful for this list?
Yeah, definitely. Warriors. So if you bring warriors, right, they don't get -1 damage, but what they do get is a 5-up invuln now.
Yeah.
So every single warrior that you bring into your list is going to get a 5-up invuln. And if you attach that with like an adaptive fizz for ignore AP 1 and 2, all of a sudden you have 9 warriors that can still use Unyielding Chitin for -1 damage. Getting a 5-up invuln and also getting ignoring AP 1 and AP 2. It makes them so resilient for their points cost.
Yeah, the downside of warriors was always like, I mean, they were good against the small arms fire, right? Like the little stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like heavy bolter, autocannon equivalents, the 1 damage weapons that were like low AP, they would just shrug that off, no problem. But then once you start hitting them with the big multi-damage attacks and multi-melts and stuff like that, that was where the problem for that unit came in. But now they have a 5+
Yep.
auto save, so they shrug 30% of those. And then
Exactly.
you got Catalyst on them, so they have a damage ignore on top of that. They just get super resilient. That big warrior break is just impossible to move. Yeah.
You're getting that. Your Hive Guard now have it. They get 5-up invulns. We haven't even talked about the stratagems yet that they have access to.
Yeah.
And there's just so much good stuff that you're getting out of this Army of Renown.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all good.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, Swarmlord. I'm sorry,
No,
but
go
like,
ahead.
dude, Swarmlord in melee combat with a 3-up invuln and -1 damage.
yeah,
Bruh.
Yeah, Stormlord always has that one turn where he just like spikes low on invuln saves and like a Thunderhammer accidentally kills him. But now it takes like 2 extra hits to kill him. Is that right? He used to go down in 4. Now he goes down in 6. Yeah, 2 extra hits.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like literally
It's
30% harder to
ridiculous.
kill. Woo!
Yeah.
Chat, the models, the monsters don't innately have OBSEC. They just count as multiple models, but there's a 1 CP stratagem in High Fleet Leviathan to make them OBSEC. Yeah.
It's the best stratagem in that entire update. It's so good.
It's ridiculously good. Yeah, it's so hard to like contest Tyranid objectives right now because like literally, I've had like 1 Neurothrope sitting an objective. My opponent gets a unit of dudes on there. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep that.
Yeah,
one.
and then like
It's going to my 5 victory points, thank you.
Yeah. And if they already have OBSEC, it doubles that OBSEC.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, that big warrior
dude.
brick, it's now 18 models on that objective.
So good.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right, so let's move into some of the other abilities that you unlock when you take the Crusher Stampede. You get some Warlord traits you can pick. They're pretty interesting, relatively straightforward. Raging Influence gives you a 6-inch aura of exploding 6s in melee for monsters. So that's all right, I guess.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Savage
Yeah.
Intimidation, mostly hot garbage. It gives you a 3-inch aura of it's -1 to hit for enemies, which is, that's good. You're -1 to hit in melee essentially. Although, like a lot of threatening melee weapons are already -1 to hit, so
Yeah.
a lot of times your opponent is just gonna really sort of counteract that. And it gives -1 to combat attrition tests. Okay.
Whoa. Wow.
Cool stuff. That one we're mostly probably going to ignore. I think the one that gets taken most often though is Rampaging Beast, which gives you an additional D3 attacks once during the fight phase when you're selected to fight. Now there's some weird interactions with this that I took notes down on and I'm going to look at so that I can talk about them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it only triggers when you're selected to fight, which means in instances where you die before you fight in the fight phase and you fight on death, you don't get the additional attacks. But because the attacks last until the end of the phase, if you double fight or fight on death after you're already selected to fight, then you will get those additional attacks, but they don't stack because it's a once per turn addition, which is why the wording is like super weird but very important. So it's not just plus D3 attacks. It's like it's usually plus D3 attacks, but there's some instances where it's actually not.
Yeah. But this is huge. Like the biggest problem with stuff like a Flying Hive Tyrant is its lack of how many attacks you get. Like that's just across the board. Our monsters usually it's hard to get a decent amount of attacks. Like you're getting 5, and that's pretty much all you're getting.
Right.
But this one it bumps it up, and then there's even more stuff where you can give it more attacks. So it makes your actual big monsters have a decent cleave into larger units.
Yeah. I mean, that big smashy Hive Tyrant is going to be so freaking good in this list. In those instances, like where you don't play in Leviathan for some reason, you can also be +1 wounding him off of the Strength 8 with Size of Tyran from Behemoth as well. So that dude is just like cutting knights in half and stuff. Just the some real insane damage out of these.
Yeah. And then if you're taking like the Bone Sword relic from the Leviathan, the one that ignores invulns, and you have this on top of it, then you're getting good value out of it because now you're getting 5 attacks plus D3, so you're probably going to kill whatever it is that you're going into. Yeah,
for sure. I think so. Another thing that's important to note is that if you are playing Leviathan, if you alpha leader beast your Warlord, you don't get one of these Warlord traits. You get one of the ones from the Leviathan list. So you can only ever get one of these on your dude. Unfortunately, you can't be Rampaging Beast and Exploding Sixes. That would be freaking sweet. But you're locked to one Leviathan trait. I think for the most part, at least in my opinion, that probably ends up being the redeploy. And then the Rampaging Beast probably on the other one, or maybe the Exploding Sixes aura I could see on like more of a support-oriented character who's going to be standing sort of with your, or kind of moving around with your big monsters. So like a Neurothrope who's just standing next to, Hyruduls or Bemacarons or whatever. That seems pretty good on. You don't necessarily want to use that on like a big smashy dude who's going to run across the table because they're not usually near your stuff. But it also works on themselves if they're a monster, so... That helps a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
Or if you still want Swarm Leader, if you're taking something like Hive Guard.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And those big warrior bricks, obviously.
Yep.
All right. So that's some Warlord traits. But we also get, like, basically 2 entire pages of stratagems, which are, for the most part, all incredible. So we'll just go through these one at a time. The first one being the 2CP Thunderous Impact. This one's a little bit weird. It triggers... after you perform a pile-in move when you're engaged with an enemy monster or vehicle.
Weird.
It's a little bit weird. The pile-in move is important because it means that if it's an ongoing combat, you can use it to like use your pile-in move to get closer to a vehicle. So you can imagine, you have a Demacaron sitting in the middle of your opponent's army. They charge it with something, and if you haven't been based, you can use it to move around, touch a piece of artillery or something like that, and then proc this strategy. You select the monster or vehicle, and then you impose some restrictions on yourself. You can only target that target with your attacks for the entirety of that phase. So if you're expecting to go in and something that at least I do a lot of times, like with this Smashy Hive Tyrant, he'll go in, charge 2 vehicles, and bounce between them with a double fight. You can't use this stratagem if you're going to do that because you can only target one of those. Although you could trigger it off the double fight if you wanted to, I guess.
And you could also you also can't do stuff with like the Dema where you double charge something, put your big attacks into like a bigger unit, and then use your Thorax Spine Maw into the smaller unit to proc your 5-up invuln. You can't do that.
You can do that, right? Because the Spine Maw isn't an attack.
Or I'm sorry, the
tail.
The tail.
Yeah,
the tail.
Yeah,
the
you
tail,
can't swing your tail somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There are some other... it also importantly, doesn't require you to be selected to fight, so you can use it like when you fight on death and stuff, which is sometimes pretty good.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. There are so the effect, which we haven't talked about yet, is it gives you +1 to hit rolls, wound rolls, and damage rolls. Now, another little restriction here is that because it gives you +1 to damage rolls, that effect will actually not apply if you have a flat damage weapon. So a Smashy Hive Tyrant, for example, that's coming in with 4 damage, actually does not get the additional damage. He will get +1 to hit and wound, which is, I mean, it's very good. That guy, well, let me tell you how much about that guy needs +1 to wound. He sucks at wounding. But he doesn't get the +1 damage because it's not a damage roll. It's just a damage of his attack. But Dimacarons is like, if you're sinking a Dimacaron into like a Castellan, you're like, I gotta kill this guy right now. Let's swing some D3 +4 damage talons into him. Here we go.
Yeah. I think that this stratagem's okay. It's like, it's 2 CP, which is pretty hefty. Especially if you're not taking Gestalt Commander off of Leviathan, right? For the Korov's Aquila equivalent. But it's also really confusing to me just because Tyranids are big monsters are made to kill monsters in vehicles. So this is kind of like a kill more. Yeah. It feels a little bit to me. Yeah,
I think the fact that it's 2 CP, like you said, very expensive. It's very narrow in its use case. Like it has to be one vehicle, and you're not going to be, you don't want to split attacks at all or anything like that. And to get the full effect, you need a random damage weapon, which is basically just like the Macarons and Hyrule and stuff. That restricts its usability, and that actually, interestingly, for a +1 hit, wound, and damage strat, you'd think would be like incredible, but I think it makes it one of the most niche stratagems in the list here. And especially since being 2 CP, for 1 more CP, you could just fight again, and then and probably still kill whatever you're attacking.
Yeah, and I think that some people might be confused with the damage roll. You add 1 to that attack's damage roll. You're not adding in an extra attack. You're adding 1 to the roll.
Right, yeah.
So if it's a D3 weapon and you roll a 2, then you get +1 to that roll. So it would be a 3. So then you would get 2 attacks. Does that make sense? I think. Is that correct, or am I reading that wrong?
Well, it's So it's +1. So a modifier to a roll is whatever the result of the roll is increased by 1. So on a D3, you would roll a 5 or whatever. That would have to 3 and then add +1 to be 4 damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But if you're not rolling dice, it doesn't do anything. Is the downside.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. Terrifying Charge. This one, not actually... maybe the worst one because it's a morale effector, but it's occasionally sometimes a little bit impactful. It's 1 CP. Use it at the start of the morale phase, which I think is actually very important. You select an enemy unit with engagement range of a monster that made a charge move. Until the end of the turn, the unit gets -3 leadership when it takes morale checks, or -3 leadership period. The downside is that it's starts in your morale phase and goes to the end of the turn, so it only affects that morale phase because nothing else is going to happen. So unfortunately, I was kind of thinking like maybe you could use it to muck with like Knight's Freeblade abilities, because you could knock down their leadership when they take the leadership check for Freeblade, but unfortunately you can't do that because it'll expire before the end of your turn, and so when it goes to their turn, they'll just roll again. I think the upside here, this is going to be one of those stratagems where you never use it except like 1 in 100 games, and then it wins you the game, right? Because the fact that you use it at the start of the morale phase is so important because you can see how much damage a unit has taken before you trigger that -3 leadership. So if a unit, has taken a couple casualties and you need 1 or 2 dudes to run away to grab an objective, for example, then you trigger this for 1 CP, and then you're almost guaranteed that unit fails that morale check. If they're, let's say, like a leadership 7, they lost 3 models. Now they're down from leadership 4, which is a pretty good chance that they succeed. They would only fail on a 5 or a 6. -3 to that, suddenly they're only passing on a 1, and you're going to force that combat attrition on that unit. And so like those very specific situations are going to be where this stratagem's good. 90% of the time you're not going to use it, but it's one of those like, it's like a brain check almost, where you're like, I have something for this one situation where I have to get rid of this one object model on objective to like score Stranglehold or whatever. I have this stratagem that makes you run away.
I kind of like this strat, especially when you combo this with other stuff like the horror, right? You're taking like you're taking down a unit by 4 leadership. I'm pretty sure that Tyranids have a way to, with this stratagem, they can bring down a unit by like 7 or 6 leadership, which is nuts.
Yeah, if you combo like all of the leadership affecting abilities together, and then we get we got that +1 to combat attrition from the Warlord trait. Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
We're really doing it.
Yeah,
and then it's a Space Marine and ignore combat attrition modifier.
Yeah, and then it ignores it, and the best thing about this is that like you can force somebody to have to spend 2 CP to auto pass. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Because like you don't want to risk it. Are you gonna risk that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. The next one, though, I think, on the opposite end of the spectrum, a stratagem that you probably use every single time you play this list, Unbreakable Chitin, is just transhuman. That's it. It's just transhuman for anything in the army. If you are 5+ models or a monster with 10 or more wounds, or anything with 10 or more wounds, but they're only monsters that have that, then it costs 2 CP, otherwise it's 1. So it's a little bit different than like Space Marine Transhuman, because A, you can use it on non-infantry, but also it's not 5 or it's not 1 through 5 that it costs 1 CP. It's 1 through 4, and then 5+ it costs 2. So it's a little bit different, but you have to remember that the 5+, those 5+ models are going to be warriors in this list. So it's that's a lot of wounds that you're going to be transhumaning, basically. But for the folks listening at home who don't know, transhuman just means that wound rolls of 1, 2, or 3 automatically fail to wound that unit for the remainder of the phase.
Which is good.
Super good.
Yeah, I like this. I think that this is great for stuff like Carnifexes that are below that 10 wound limit. Yes, so you would only have to spend 1 CP to get transhuman on them, which is pretty good. But 2 CP transhuman, if you're a Grey Knights player, 2 CP for transhuman is pretty hard.
Hard out, Grey Knights player.
Yeah, it hurts a little bit. But it's still good. It's still good. You can't. But like, I just saw this chat come up, or this comment come up on chat, where saying that you can put transhuman on rippers. You can't take rippers because it's swarm, so you can't put it on stuff like your gaunts or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, because you don't have those in your army.
Yeah.
Like you could target them with it if you were allowed to take those models, but you can't. So, yeah, I think the biggest one for me is actually a Dimacaron. Because I mean, I know you love Dimacarons, man, but I've had a love-hate relationship with Dimacarons. I love them when I go first, and I charge them into my opponent's army, and I kill a bunch of stuff. Yeah. I hate them when I go second, and my opponent just kills all my Dimacarons because they're huge, and they can't hide behind buildings. But let me tell you about their -1 damage in Transhuman, and they take so much less damage from that turn 1 shooting, and I'm way less worried about getting shot by multi-guns and stuff. But
yeah, you have a 50% chance of loving them.
Yes, absolutely. But also just having access to that 1 CP transhuman on your little 3-man warrior squads, who are going to be like, for the most part, the utility units in this army, and running around all over the table, doing actions and standing on objectives and stuff like that. The 1 CP unyielding chitin on them is already very good. But on top of that, now you have access to transhuman, so you can pop 2 CP. Be transhuman and -1 damage, and suddenly like those 3 warriors, plus they have an invulnerable save too. And those 3 warriors are sticking around through a lot. They're gonna have to sink so much points into them to the point where it's like they're not gonna want to shoot at them. Right. Yeah. I played such a good mind game. I played a town matchup in a tournament last week, and my opponent shot a reasonable number of battle suits into my little bioweapon bond warrior squad sitting in the back. And I unyielding chitined them, and they were firing missiles at me, which are D3 damage, and so -1 damage. Yeah. And it took a commander battlesuit with a bunch of missile pods and like half of a bodyguard Death Star to kill this unit. And this guy's like, these guys are as tough to kill as a dreadnought. And I'm like, yeah, man. Just imagine if they're transhuman now. You're at this point, you're just pouring salt on the wounds for Tau right now. Just yeah, poor Tau. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry, Tal. You get your sweet codex coming out like next month. It'll be okay.
Their previews of what they're getting is pretty sick.
Yeah. So and then when that codex comes out, they'll be killing a lot of Tyranid models, which is good because we have an answer for that in Death Surge, which is a strategy we can use only in the fight phase, unfortunately. So probably a little bit less useful against Tau. But it's when a monster is destroyed that's not a character, which is important. I definitely missed that the first time I read this, and I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy!" But it's non-character monsters. You fight on death at top profile, so it's strictly better in that instance than the current fight on death that Tyranids have, which is any character, but it doesn't top profile you. So Hive Tyrants fight on death and then miss all their attacks because their weapon skill sucks. But a big old Dimacheron just gets a bunch of stats back and then punches you again when it dies.
Yeah, right? Dude, and then like on top of that, so if you pop this on a Dima that just dies, then all of a sudden you're getting this, you're hitting at top bracket and you're re-rolling still. So it's just so much value out of this one singular stratagem. It's so good.
Yeah.
But when I first
go ahead.
In one of my first games I ever played of Tyranids, I used the fight on death strat for a Hive Tyrant, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna hit you at my top bracket," and then someone was like, "You do it at your bottom bracket," and I was like, "Oh, this is garbage. Why would I ever use this?"
Yeah, at least like Hive Tyrants don't lose like attacks and stuff, but at least their weapon skill's very good. But it's no Dimacheron hitting you at top profile again. Some interesting things here is that it will trigger another Spine Maw on a Dimacheron, but I believe that if your opponent kills it in their turn, they'll sequence the Spine Maw after your model gets removed, so I don't believe it would actually trigger. But if you die on your own turn, you can Spine Maw them. Because both the Spine Maw, both the Spine Maw and the Stratagem work after you've completed your melee attacks. So that's interesting, but you can maybe get another Spine Maw sometimes, which is pretty sweet. It also doesn't have that new fight on death wording that a lot of fight on deaths that we've seen, or at least the Space Marine one, got reworded to, where it can only target a model that was destroyed before it made its attacks this phase. So you can use it to double fight, essentially. If you have a 1 wound Dimacheron, you charge into something, you punch them, they punch you back, you die, you punch again.
It's good.
Death Surge.
At full bracket, top bracket,
2
like
CP.
And then if you want to get real spicy, you can also have him auto explode right after he dies.
The Leviathan strat, hell yeah!
Just so much crazy stuff you can do, and then like, never mind.
The real wombo combo is when you do it on your turn. You charge 2 things, you fight one of them and punch them. Then you double fight into the other one and punch them. They punch you back. You die. You punch again. The old triple fight.
What, you're dropping like 7 CP in one turn?
Whatever. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like,
we've
ravenous appetited. We're auto-exploding. This Dimacheron does 1,000 points of damage in one fight phase. Here we go. It's so much in this guy. Achievement unlocked if you ever do that, by the way, chat. Let me know. Yeah. I'll send you a patch.
Get a trophy.
Yeah. So that one's great. That's a super good strat. Is it as great as Breaking Through, though? Not sure. Probably not, because this stratagem is insane.
It's so good.
It's, wow, yeah, it's just wild. For 1 CP, you use it after one of your monsters finishes a charge move. You select, it's kind of weirdly worded, you select a model within engagement range, and then it deals damage to the model's unit. So, I mean, it's basically the same as selecting a unit in engagement range. You essentially then roll for each of your monster's remaining wounds, not wounds characteristic, remaining wounds. So if you're half dead, you only roll half as many dice. You essentially roll what is effectively a pseudo wound roll. If your strength is higher than their toughness, it will work on 3s. If your strength and toughness are equal, it will work on 4s. And if their toughness is higher than your strength, it will work on 5s. And for each success that you get from that, you deal a mortal wound up to 6. So
Ridiculous.
like 90% of the time, this is just 1 CP, deal 6 mortal wounds to something you charged. Because you're probably a Demacaron or a Hierodule, you're an 18 wounder. Maybe you're a Harridan, and you roll 34 dice at him. Here we go, boys! And then on 4s or 3s, for the most part, because a lot of that stuff is strength 8. The Demacaron actually being strength 7 kind of is a big deal here. But then you'll deal a mortal wound to them up to 6. That's a lot of mortal wounds for 1 CP.
Yeah, like statistically. So Harridan, guaranteed you're gonna get 6 mortal wounds every single time that you use this. Demacarian, almost guaranteed every single time that you use this, you're gonna get 6 mortal wounds.
Yeah. If you're full bracket, on average, you should get the full 6 against the knight, right?
Yeah,
because you're rolling 18 on 5-ups.
Exactly. So this is getting rid of things like you're like one of the biggest problems with your big monsters, again, is your lack of attacks, right? We don't have a lot of cleave profiles. We don't have a lot of stuff where we get like, the max amount of attacks that we can get on a big monster is either through the Haruspecs or like the Demacarian right now with 6 attacks, right? Mm-hmm. This makes it so then you can go into stuff that have like a 4-up invuln, like Space Marines or anything that has a 4-up invuln. That's harder to get through, and all of a sudden you're taking down, 2 Terminators off of this just alone, which is crazy.
Yeah. The one thing to keep in mind is that, and it's kind of a problem that the Demacaron also already faces. If you're dealing 6 mortal wounds, especially to like a 1-wounder unit, a lot of times your opponent can just pull the closest models to you before you fight. You still get to pile in, but a lot of times, especially with monsters with huge bases, that can make it really awkward to get like back into melee. If you've engaged like one model on the edge of a unit and then you mortal wound them, they'll just pull everyone within 4 inches of you and you won't be able to make your attacks. Kind of the same issue that Demacaron has, where he punches a guy to death and you just remove that guy so he doesn't get to spine maul him. But I think I like this especially against like the super hardy targets. So you can imagine, something like a Dreadnought that's under an invulnerable save, Thick City Drukhari. I think this list it probably just like fights Thick City okay, but I think it could have a little bit of problems because you're fighting into invulnerable saves and damage reduction and feel no pains with everything, and your big punchy melee attacks from these big monsters are going to be a little bit less efficient. But if you sink 6 mortal wounds into them first, it definitely softens the unit of Talos up before you go in. And I think that's like super helps matchups like that, especially. It's just super duper good.
It's like the best stratagem out of this entire Army of Renown, in my opinion. I think it's just crazy good.
Yeah. Thick City chat is a Drukhari list that's focused on homunculus covens, especially using a custom subfaction using Artists of the Flesh, which gives everything in the detachment -1 damage against them. So things like Grotesque and the Pain Engines like Talos and Kronos are relatively high toughness. They're tough 5 or 6 or 7 if you're in a homunculus bubble on the big monsters, and you're -1 damage, and you have an invulnerable save, and you have a 5+ damage ignore, and they punch back well in melee, and so generally they just occupy the center of the table, and you can't kill enough of them before they beat you out on primaries. Essentially, I did a video on it. If I can grab it quick enough, I'll put it in chat here. Let's see if I can do it. Nobody time me. Okay.
But you know what those Kronos are gonna have a hard time dealing with? A Harridan.
A Harridan?
Yeah, boy. Yeah, shooting at...
Let me tell you about how those Grotesques don't want to see -1 damage with those 2 damage cleavers. Get wrecked.
Oh, dude. Disgusting.
Yeah. Tyranids already were pretty interesting in that matchup because Tyranids, especially with the Leviathan strats, get like mad access to 1 damage attacks, just tons and tons and tons of 1 damage attacks. This is definitely the opposite end of the spectrum. This is several big damage attacks, but if you can inflict 6 mortal wounds before you go to attack, which don't care about damage reduction, they can be damage ignored. But obviously those 6 mortal wounds can't be reduced by Artists of the Flesh. You're definitely going to soften those units up. It's definitely going to make that matchup a little easier. Shall we move on to some more worrying strats?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we have 2 more strats, right?
2 more strats, yeah. And they get used on warriors. That was fun. But
ooh,
all right.
Ooh, these are good.
It was good. It was flawless fun. Perfect execution. Good thing I can rapidly adapt to the conversation.
segue.
We just immediately lost 2 viewers. All right. Sorry, guys. For 1 CP, this stratagem, it's a mustering your army stratagem, so you have to put it in your roster before you go to your game. So you have to decide when you build your list to use this one. It increases the weapon skill and ballistic skill characteristic of 1 Tyranid warrior unit each time you use it by 1. So it goes to a 2+ ballistic skill, or 2+ weapon skill, 3+ ballistic skill. You can use it 2 times, or normally once if you're playing Strike Force, which is normal, like 2,000 point. I think it's like 15 or higher than 1,000 up to 2,000, right? You can use it twice, and if anything bigger, you can use it 3 times. So you can typically in a normal game of 40k, you will target up to 2 warrior units for 1 CP each. You give them +1 weapon skill, ballistic skill. Importantly, it's +1 ballistic skill and weapon skill. It's not +1 to hit, which means you can stack it with a Tyranid Prime aura or a bioweapon bond, which is especially important for that ballistic skill. So you can get, if you have a big Tyranid warrior shooty brick, the 9 dudes with the venom cannons and the death spitters and all the gubbins, you can get it to hitting on 2s, which is very good.
That is nasty. 9 warriors, that's 6 death spitters, 3 venom cannons shooting at a BS of 2. That is BS. Like, that is absolute BS, because what is that? That's 18 shots and then 3 D3 shots of strength 5 AP1 1 and then strength 8 AP2 D3.
And then you can drop a CP for your levy to explode 6s and then double tap that unit.
Yep, is good. Is good. Or you can pop Relentless Fury or Relentless Flurry, whatever it's called. On them. Yeah. And then if you give them Swarm Leader for rerolls, then you can fish for your 6s if you really wanted to, because you're hitting on 2s anyway. So like if you just reroll everything, it doesn't matter. It's so good. So good.
Chat saying the stream went away, but it's up on my end.
It's up on my end.
I don't know what's up with you guys, chat.
Maybe if I
OBS
refresh
has
the
a
page.
little green light.
Yeah, we should be good.
I see myself moving on YouTube's.
Yeah, I see it.
All right. Well, weird. At least we're back. Yeah, so I like this stratagem on the big shooty brick for that reason. You can get it to hitting on 2s, which is great. I like it less on the if you're just like taking the warriors to be a melee brick, right?
Yeah.
Which is how I normally take them. Usually my shooting is done by Hive Guard. That's the purview of Hive Guard. The warriors don't deal with that. They do actions. That's their job. So I usually take Scything Talons. I don't think this is worth it on a melee unit, especially because if you're taking warriors in your list, they will probably be bioweapon bonded, and then you can just target them with the bioweapon bond the turn you need that 2+ to hit. So the ability to stack multiple bonuses to hit on the oh, they said it broke again.
Oh, hold on.
What's going
on? Yeah. I'm getting a spinning error right now on YouTube. Awkward.
Let's see if I can.
If I refresh it, it's fine, and then I think it spins again after a while. I don't think it's anything that you're doing on your side. I think it's just YouTube side.
Let's see. Yeah, let me up my bit rate and see if that helps. Is that better? Are we better?
I think so. I think GW's throttling you, dude.
Oh, no.
They're like, how dare he? How dare he?
A leaker. Get out of here.
Yeah, it looks fine for me right now.
Okay. Chances it's better. All right. Well, we will continue. So for those who missed it, as you were saying, I think this is the best on still good? All right. I think this is the best on the ranged units because you can get them down to hitting on 2s with one of the many +1 to hit effects that warriors have access to now. The melee units you can usually just find a way to get +1 to hit.
Yeah. Not a big like. We could talk about it later.
Looks like some people might have a... Are you having problems still? I don't know. I think we'll keep going. Worst case scenario, YouTube will splice us later for the people who want to come back. The last we do have one last stratagem here, which is this is the stinker, I think. As much as the other ones are, you know, a sometimes use, maybe once in a while you use this. Enhanced brain functions here gives a warrior unit bink guns never tire when you shoot them in the shooting phase if they're engaged with an enemy. It for some reason costs 2 CP if it's a 6 or high or larger model unit. So as soon as you unlock more than one bio or heavy weapon in the unit, not heavy weapon, what are they called? Biocannons?
Biocannon, yeah.
Then it costs extra, which doesn't matter because you can't shoot the biocannons in melee anyway because they're all blast. So whatever. If you ever want to shoot your opponent with like 2 death spitters, you can spend between 1 and 2 CP to do that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one. Which one do you think is worse? This one or the -3 to leadership?
Oh, this one for sure. Like in my head, I'm already thinking of ways to use the -3 leadership one in interesting ways, right? Like especially if you charge something into like 5 idiots, like 5 space marines or whatever, and you kill 4 of them, and that guy's like obsecking the objective, and you're like, how do I get rid of this guy? Spend 1 CP, he probably runs away. This one, I already don't usually take shooting warriors. I might, because you can give them +1 ballistic skill, which is pretty cool. But if I am, I'm taking them for the cool venom cannons and stuff. But if I can't shoot my venom cannons,
what's the point?
It
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, for cool. That unit's 9 strong, so it's 2 CP, and the reason it's 9 strong is so I can get more venom cannons. So I'm increasing the cost of the stratagem to take models that can't use the stratagem to shoot in melee.
Yeah, it's so counterproductive. This is the most counterproductive stratagem I've ever seen out of GW.
I know it's. I mean, there's a lot of bad stratagems. We can just throw this in the pile of bad stratagems.
I mean, I think that you're forgetting that instead of taking 3 biocannons, you could just take more death spitters, bro. And then boom, they can all shoot into melee.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the idea is that like you have like 5-mans with devours or something in case you have a problem with like those horde matchups, which this list might have because it's going to be a billion monsters and stuff. And then you can use those 5-man or 4-man warrior squads with guns to like run around, and even if they're engaged, they can still shoot some people to death, and that's probably fine. But unless you're spending a CP for +1 to hit, you're like hitting on 4s.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna waste a bioweapon bond on like 4 idiots with a strength 4 gun. I want that on my Harridan. So
just run a prime. Just run a Tyranid prime.
Just
and
take
then
a
boom.
Tyranid prime.
There you go.
Easy.
Yeah.
Take a Tyranid prime in a list that can't take gene stealers. We've done it. We've really done it now.
We've come full circle.
Incredible. Yeah. I mean, yeah. That poor Tyranid prime trying to buff like Dimacarons and stuff. He's like, guys, it could make you auto wound. This Harridan here, like, I'm strength 10 with rerolls to wound. Like, what do you want from me? You think I have problems wounding? My problem is number of attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one less good, but that's okay. We got 1 stinker out of 2 pages of incredibly powerful stratagems. Seems fine. I think it's okay.
Yeah, we'll live. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Sorry, warriors. Be Hive Guard or be nothing, I guess. We also, on top of all those incredibly powerful stratagems we also got a new psychic discipline, which I think is the phenomenally named Mass Convergence Discipline, which is sounds super badass. It's super straightforward, actually. All of the powers in it, there's 3 powers in it, and they when you select powers for your caster, so when you're mustering your army, you choose for each caster individually whether you want to take spells from the Hive Mind Discipline or spells from the Mass Convergence Discipline. then that caster takes all of their spells from whatever list you've picked. This one is super easy because all of the spells have an 18-inch range, target friendly units within 18, doesn't require line of sight, and they all go off on a 6. And they give you like a super straightforward benefit, all of which are very good. I kind of like this direction for psychic powers, because a lot of times like GW feels like it has to make every list 6 things so you can roll a d6 on it, but like there's always like 2 or 3 psychic powers in there that are just nothing powers no one would ever take. But we're down to 3 here, and all of them are good. One of them gives you a 4+ invulnerable save, one of them gives you plus D3 attacks on a single model, and one of them gives you reroll to hits and melee. That's it.
All good. They're all good.
There's no bad stuff here. I think, in my opinion, the reroll hits and melee is probably like the worst one, but like worst in the way that like your stuff's already usually hitting on 2s and rerolling 1s because it's deciding talents, right? So it's like you just don't really need it, but it's still good. Synaptic Barrier is kind of weird in that almost every psyker in the faction besides a Broodlord, right, already has a 4+ invulnerable save. So it's not unlike something like Catalyst, where you're like, worst case scenario, my Hive Tyrant has to go do something, he'll just Catalyst himself. It doesn't do anything if you don't have something specifically to put it on. That said, you can put that unit of warriors, right? That's like transhuman, -1 damage, +1 to hit, maybe, who knows, can also have a 4+ invulnerable save.
Well,
so
there is a caveat. It's a model,
You're
so
right.
it can only be one model with a 4+.
So one of them will get a 4+. All right, that's worse. Yeah.
Lame.
Terrible. I guess I'll put it on by Harridan instead.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Rerolls are good if you're triple fighting. Well, Dimacrons already reroll their hit rolls, chat, so you don't even need it on that guy. He's fine.
Yeah, but you know who does need it? A Harridan.
You know who else needs plus D3 attacks?
It's a Harridan. This all of Army of Renown is just for a Harridan.
Yeah.
Like everything about this just screams take a Harridan.
The AOR:Harridan.
Yeah. I do like the D3 attacks. If you couple this with the Warlord trait from earlier, all of a sudden you're getting 2 D3 attacks on a flying Hive Tyrant. Yeah. That's good. That's really good. Yeah.
I 100% agree. And then, if you're double fighting or fighting on death, like that compounds just a massive number of attacks you're rolling.
Yeah.
Delicious.
It's really good.
Yeah. And I think especially this is an important part of the list, because if you're playing this list, it's most likely going to be focused a lot on Hive Tyrants. Like there were some questions in chat. You can take Swarmlord in this. There's no restriction on characters or anything. So you can also be taking like Old One Eye. Finally, that dude has an invulnerable save. Thank God. You can take a lot of any of the special characters, and you're probably going to take at least one Hive Tyrant, because the D3 attacks, I think, is just for the Warlord trait, is just super good on the Smashy Hive Tyrant. Which mean, and then like you might have a support Hive Tyrant on top of that. You might have a Neurothrope. You're taking a lot of Psychers. You might have Maleceptors to protect the big Toughness 8 guys. So the downside of the standard discipline is that you run out of effective psychic powers very quickly. Like you get your Catalyst guy, you might not even need Onslaught. You probably want Onslaught for a Dimacron, I guess. You got your Onslaught guy, you got your like Paroxysm dude, and then you're like, well, and now I have extra slots because I have like dozens of slots for all these things. So you could just have one dude who's like, I have the 4+ vulnerable save and plus D3 attack spells on a Hive Tyrant or something, and he just is sitting in the back, casting out these immensely powerful buffs on your monsters.
I mean, you can still take stuff like Psychic Scream.
Yeah.
You can have one of the Flyrants or one of your Psychers just be an action monkey for Psychic Interrogation.
Yeah, that's going to be important in the future for sure.
Yeah. There's options that you have.
Right.
So you're definitely giving up a boar.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I definitely I foresee that this list will oftentimes, almost every time, I think, have 3 Psychers in it. Will oftentimes have 4, and you would run into the issue where you run out of important powers in the normal discipline to cast, but now you have these 3 more that are just all sweet.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, it's good. It's
Sounds
okay.
good. Yeah.
I like it.
And that's all the rules. We've done it. We've gone through all of them. So I guess we'll probably just summarize our thoughts about the I guess your like favorite picks out of the entirety of the army. Like, what are the abilities and rules that you think are going to be most impactful? And then on top of that, like, are you going to be playing this army? I know you like your Demacarons. I imagine there's some Crusher stampeding in the future. And do you think it can hold a candle to like the normal Tyranid list that we're seeing in the past, or we've seen up to now?
Yeah. So, for me, I just want to gush about the Harridan again. Like, just the Harridan just got.
Believe you me, this is the place to gush about Harridans.
Like, dude, I loved the Harridan even before this. I love its stat line. Everything about it is cool. It's like Tyranid said, you know, it would be cool if we had a really, really big dragon and it was just huge. And then they did it and it was awesome. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Harridan is. Mm-hmm. And 700 points for a model that can get a 4-up invuln, -1 damage, doesn't bracket until 8 wounds with Dermic Symbiosis. You can give it +1 to hit, and then always dealing 6 mortal wounds on the charge that can fall back, shoot, and charge because it's aircraft and Titanic.
With potentially an additional D3 attacks.
So with an additional...
You're dealing 6 mortal wounds, and then you're attacking potentially 8 times with 6 damage attacks.
Yeah,
kills like a night and a half.
He is absolutely disgusting now. Like, he's always wounding on 2s. Like, it is crazy how good the Harridan is. For 700 points, I think that he is probably one of, if not the most toughest unit in all of 40k right now. Yeah. With that mind, with Duty Eternal.
Yes, so I think that's important to note, right? Because the Harridan typically, if you're playing him in a 2,000 point list, then you will have to take him in a super heavy auxiliary detachment, right? Which means he doesn't get your detachment abilities.
Yeah,
there's a universe where this gets routed, so he also doesn't get these abilities. Right now, he does, however. So he cannot gain a High Fleet adaptation, but he already wasn't gaining a High Fleet adaptation. And because these abilities don't replace your High Fleet adaptation, they just restrict what it is. He's not affected. So this is essentially the first time that he gets any sort of sub-faction ability, which is crazy because it means you're not losing anything taking a Harridan in this list. It's not like you're like, oh, well, you know, if he was in Leviathan, it would he'd have a 6+ damage ignore. Like, that's something. No, it's all upside for that dude.
Yeah, the only thing that you would get out of him is if from before you would take him in Chronos, so then he would get to have the Chronos keyword, so then he can use the stratagem to have psychers only roll 1 dice on a psychic test, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
You were just paying for his just pure stat line,
right?
And now, like, he gets all these buffs. It's insane for 700 points. Like, he is just disgusting.
Right. Yeah, he's already super hard to kill. If you're playing him in Leviathan, he already had access to the redeploys. He already has access to the Catalyst, all this stuff. And on top of that, he has an invulnerable save built in. So you probably still take Dermic to double wounds for bracketing, but you don't. It's not required. You know, if you really need that adaptation or the physiology somewhere else, you can put it somewhere else. But then also he's just ridiculously harder to kill. I think the biggest downside for poor old Harridan is the list around him changes so significantly, because having 700 of your points tied up in a model that can't hold objectives kind of sucks sometimes, and being able to take like a bunch of Ripper Swarms and a bunch of like little idiots to run around and actually stand on objectives is very good. But not being able to do that's a little tougher. That said, I know back in the day, and I did a video on it, a list won a GT with him and 2 Dimacarons, and that list is just like, it's looking real good right now. Yeah,
it just goes balls to the wall, dude.
Yeah.
I took that same list to games, man, and I love it. Like, it's just so much fun. And now I can bring a Harridan and 2 Demas and not have to worry about people taking OPSEC away from me. Are you kidding me?
Right.
That's so gold. That's such money right there.
And that happened before even the Leviathan supplement came out.
Yeah.
So now all those demons have access to like their 18 wounder objective secured when you spend the CP on it. Yeah, like that list is just so much better.
See, you don't have to worry about people being on objectives if you just kill them, right? Just take a page out of the Orcs Codex, just kill everything, and then you're fine. It doesn't matter what secondaries you take.
Yeah.
But besides that, I really like this. I think that this is very, very fluffy. I think that the Leviathan updates from Octarius were very, very narrative driven, but still play really well on tabletop. I think that this one is the same way. But I do think that there are some caveats here that really hinder this to being more competitive. I think that you can run it as competitive, but either way, you're going to have fun with this Army of Renown no matter what. If you run it, you're going to have fun, and I think that's the biggest draw for this Army of Renown.
Yeah, I do think, yeah, at the very least, it's cool that it benefits most of the models that are the coolest and most fun to play. Like my favorite model in all of 40k is a Hive Tyrant, because it's, you know, he's fast, he punches okay, he's got psychic powers, he maybe has a gun, he operates in every phase, moves 1,000,000 times, goes 1,000 inches. And the downside was always that, like, I don't know, they kind of suck sometimes. Like sometimes he charges a knight, he rerolls his wounds,
more attacks.
He just flubs 1,000,000,000 times, and you just feel bad. But now, he's got like twice as many attacks, and he fights on. Or I guess he already fought on death, but he's way harder to kill. In Leviathan, right? He's -1 damage and has potentially -1 to be wounded as well. On top of that, and like those models are sick now. Like you can be taking triple Hive Tyrant and 3 Dimacrons and like actually play a game and fight good lists and kill them potentially. And I think that's freaking sweet.
Yeah, I like it. I think that the problems that this army runs into is that, you know, you're restricted to warriors that don't move very fast. You'd have to switch over to also running Raveners in order to snipe objectives, right? So you're gonna have to deal with that. With changes to Rod coming up, or changes to Retrieve Octarius data coming up, you have to get rid of your lictors and replace them with stuff like Raveners, or just go completely balls to the wall. Just go all monsters, hope for grind them down, take TT or take to the last, change up the entire game plan of your army.
You both
but not having those like
love
one
you both. What is your number one list you're going to try following this book?
Boom. Brandon, thanks for the super chat. BT Dubs. He's asking, what's the number one list we're gonna try following the Army of Renown?
Harridan.
Is it Harridan?
Harridan. Harridan all the way.
Let's see.
Double Harridans.
I'm definitely in. I'm in for Harridan all the way. So this leak might have cost me a pretty penny. I have many resin monsters on order now. Hilariously, it came out yesterday while I was streaming, and I immediately went to Forge World to look at what was in
dropped
stock.
It all.
And and in literally later that night, I was talking to some people, and they mentioned all of that stuff is out of stock now. Macarons, Hyrule, I don't know about Harridan, actually. It might still be okay. But all of that stuff is out of stock at Forge World now. You can imagine. Yeah. But I have a list I was just playing with beforehand. I think I'm definitely excited to run Harridan. I mean, I love that guy, and I think he's going to be super strong. And I think the list with him is going to be like super interesting. Right now, I'm playing with Hive Guard and stuff, and it's mostly just this kind of like damage denial where you have to put all your attacks in the Harridan, and he tanks it all, kills a bunch of stuff, like kills everything that can kill your army. But the new Harridan versions are going to be much more aggressive. I've been playing around with Dimacrons and Barbed Pyroduals that you can squeeze either 3 Barbed Pyroduals or 3 Dimacrons in with your normal other stuff. This version right now has a Hive Guard unit in it, but they might get cut. On top of a Smashy Hive Tyrant and a Swarm Lord and 3 units of Warriors to fill out the backline. It's pretty up in your face. That's and I think those style of lists, I think, is going to be super interesting to play around with, because that's like a new archetype that hasn't really seen play.
Yeah. I think that I think that I'm not trying to like hark on this Army of Renown, because I absolutely love it. But I just want to talk about like some of the caveats that this list is going to definitely run into. Not having access to things like Devil Gaunts, which were our chaff clearers, right? We can run Devourers now. If you're running multiple Hive Tyrants, which I feel like is the play when you're going to go with Army of Renown, is that you're going to run like 2 or 3 flying Hive Tyrants. You can run, Twin Link Devourers on both of them. but your options to deal with chaff when you don't have double gaunts and gene stealers dwindles significantly, even with 6 mortal wounds on the charge, even with slightly more attacks. It's not guaranteed that you're going to wipe something like Necron Warriors, or with reanimation protocol or something like that.
Yeah, I think that is certainly probably, I would say, the second biggest weakness of the list, right? Is just like clearing infantry, because the attack output of these big monsters is not great. I do think that, like you said, the quad devourer monsters are going to be a big part of it, whether it's Hive Tyrants or whether it's Carnifexes.
Carnifexes, boy.
Carnifexes with -1 damage, 1 CP transhuman, and an invulnerable save. It means that the 135 points or whatever you spend on that guy doesn't immediately get vaporized by the first 2 meltaguns that shoot at him. And I think those guys potentially solve that problem. Scythe Tyranid as well, I think, go a super long way. Those things have always been absolutely brutal to infantry. And that just continues. I do think that, interestingly, I think that it unfortunately falls into the same paradigm that people have been building against for the last 6 months, right? We've seen, at least in the last month or so, the Thick City Drukhari means that everyone's pulling 1 damage guns out of their butts. Dreadnought spam has also been the same thing, and this list basically does the same thing as that. And I think that's a problem potentially that people are just building against it, right? They're just taking these high efficiency mortal wounds or 1 damage attacks. The difference is that this list does that, but at toughness 8, which I think is a big game changer. So if you play in the mirror match, right, and your opponent comes out with their Devourer Termagants and they pile attacks into a Hyrule or whatever, and they're wounding on 6s, and that's a lot tougher than killing dreadnoughts or whatever. So
yeah.
I think the front line that it presents is going to be a little bit different because of that extra toughness over those other archetypes. But I do agree with you that the problem of cheering, chaff, and if lists like this 150 racks list it's been kind of the boogeyman that no one's ever played, but it has the potential to win every game. If those become very popular, I can definitely see this not doing very well. But on the flip side, we see a movement towards things like Imperial Knights, towards these larger, more heavily armored models with that toughness 8. And this list, if you're playing, Dimacrons and Hyrule and Harridans, just absolutely trashes that. It also, it's good into the mirror match, right? If you just play the Crusher Stampede against the other Crusher Stampede list, not only is it the best list against a lot of other stuff, but it's also the best list against itself, probably, because you're just punching those dudes with 7 damage attacks or whatever.
And it's probably one of the coolest things that you're going to see on a table. Just seeing huge monsters fighting other huge monsters. That is insanely cool.
Yeah, for sure. Just comes down to who can roll their 5+ vulnerable saves better.
Right? Yeah. I think that another problem with this is that, like what you were saying earlier, we're going to be taking a lot of Psychers, so we're giving up a boar very easily. Unlike Grey Knights, where we don't have something like Psychic Ritual to counteract a boar, we don't have that, at least yet, right? So
chat coming out with the Godzilla quotes. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So you have that as a problem. You also give up bring it down points like mad crazy. So that's another big problem. But
it does feel to me, I think the previous or the current version of Tyranids gives up no prisoners really easily, and certainly this one doesn't. But I think it just trades that for a poor, for bring it down. Which it is what it is, and the changes to bring it down are certainly going to hurt it as well, because those 18 wounders now give up 3 points again. So but until then, we have a good solid window to abuse the hell out of this. We'll get 2 weeks, everybody. Get those monsters ready.
The best thing about this is that even we're gushing about all the Forge World stuff, but even stuff inside the codex, inside the actual codex, just looking at straight plastic, it buffs those units so well, right? Even if they're not quote unquote competitive, right? Looking at Carnifexes, looking at Harrispexes, you can definitely bring them onto the table now and do fairly well with them and still have a good time. And I think that's the best part about this Army of Renown.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there were some questions in chat about making non-Forge World versions of the list. And I think the interesting part is, while it does benefit that your higher wound count a little bit more, for the most part, it's kind of a rising tide raises all ships, right? Like, it's bringing almost all of the monsters up almost the same amount. The higher your wounds count is, the better it's going to affect you, because a lot of these effects are based on your wounds count. So the 18 wounders benefit a little bit more, but on the flip side, there's probably a list in here that's like 12 Carnifexes, and it's just Thick City, but like Thick City, the Tyranid version, where it's just a million Carnifexes, and they all have -1 damage, and they all have an invulnerable save, and they're just running around shooting annoying guns at you, and you're like, this sucks. It takes 300 points to kill one of these guys, because he 1 CP transHumans and then gives himself OBSEC when it comes to his turn. So, like, I can't kill them, and they can't take objectives from them. What do I do? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I can imagine that there's gonna be some like really jank models that people don't use being used now. Stuff like Harpies, I think that have like a decent play now, because you could just sling them up the board 30 inches and then just snipe an objective from somebody with 12 wounds and OBSEC.
I think a while ago I was really harping on a Tyranid, or a Trigon Prime, excuse me, because you can equip him with relics and warlord traits, like, because he's character, right? But he doesn't take up an HQ slot. So if you're playing single battalion, you run out of HQs for all your Hive Tyrants very quickly, and especially if you want support casters like Neurothropes or not in this, but in the list I was building, I had a Tyranid Prime, and I was like, well, we could have a smashy Trigon Prime, but the downside is that dude's slow, and he immediately died as soon as he like pokes his head around a corner. But now he's invulnerable save. He's -1 damage. You can give him -1 to wound with the Leviathan relic, and he's like legit hard to kill. It's actually really tough.
Even like a Moloch, right? Like Moloch,
yes.
A Moloch pops up. What it has to be, the closest it can get is 3 inches, right? Like outside of 3 inches. If somebody's not careful, you could just pop them up on an objective, have them deal mortal wounds. They kill him, fine. You automatically explode him on death.
It's actually it's just more than 1 inch away.
Oh, okay. Then you could definitely snipe an objective if people aren't careful.
Interestingly, it's also 6 inches away from other Molochs.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if you popped up like 3 Molochs on somebody, they all took mortal wounds because they're all within 6 inches, that would be kind of broken.
You could do as many as like 6 mortal wounds to something, which is the same you do by just charging them and spending 1 CP.
Exactly. And then if they choose to ignore him, then guess what? You could just charge with him and then just pop maybe like 4 or 5 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, like potentially, like maybe we even, how crazy do we get, right? Because you could take those Molochs. Maybe you're at 2 Molochs, right? Let's not get crazy.
Yeah.
We got 2.
Yeah.
But then you also have the Trigon Prime. That dude can pop up in the back line. If they don't kill either of them, he just makes one of the Molochs OBSEC in your command phase, and he just takes your objectives away. Because he's 12 OBSEC models as soon as you spend the CP on him. You just have to get that Synapse creature within 12 inches, which is tough unless you can deep strike the Synapse creature, which you can if it's a Trigon.
And guess what? Even if they're not OBSEC, a lot of people don't bring OBSEC anymore anyways, so who cares? It's totally fine.
There's like 5 idiot Space Marine scouts on that objective.
Yeah.
Like, that's adorable. That's mine.
You're right next to servitors. It's like, this is mine now. Easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I do think Molochs are... there was a contingent of people taking them just to grab like objective or engage in all fronts really reliably and stuff. Which I never super loved, but as soon as he counts as 12 models for taking objectives, exactly. Yeah, lictors don't give up Bring It Down, unfortunately. But now that lictors don't count for engage in all fronts, or at least they will in GT 2022, all these monsters sure do, and they can also take objectives really well. And so I think,
I love it. I do want to talk about something that I think is very interesting also. Is the Tyrannocyte. I know it sounds silly, but like if you really, really think about it, right? For the points cost of a Tyrannocyte, right? And that's the transport model that you could bring multiples of because there's no cap on them, right?
Yeah, you just need 1 for each of the units that are in your army, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So You bring a bunch of Tyranicytes. They're all 12 wounds. You can give any one of them OBSEC. They have a huge base. I think it's like 120 millimeters or something like that. Or it's 100 millimeters. They have a huge base, so you can move block stuff. Yeah, they only move 6 inches, but you could double move them, use metabolic overdrive on them. You can snipe objectives with them. You can deep strike them. If you give them barbed stranglers, now you're fixing your problem when it comes to chaff units because you're getting blast on that, so that you're getting like 30 shots or something at ballistic skill 4.
Yeah, those barbed stranglers give you +1 to hit. And those guys are very bad at attacking. Interestingly, that's also a potentially well, I guess it would not be as good because you don't have Hive Mind Imperative, but a potential non-Leviathan version of the list brings Jormungandr, because the Jormungandr psychic power is full rerolls when you come in up D-Strike. So against the target unit. So a list I played in 8th edition was like 9 Tyranicytes, and then you just drop like 5 of them. You target, I don't know, like a knight or something, and you shoot 25 venom cannons at it with full rerolls.
Yeah, it's like you're going with you're going with the DACA mentality. Like, you're gonna get a lot of shots, you're gonna get stuff to go through, you're still plinking off wounds and stuff, and you could bring multiples of them. So then this is like a good filler unit to then add more infantry, like lictors or stuff like Tyranid warriors, things like that, at a fairly cheap price. Because like with 5 barbed stranglers, that's like they only cost 115 points.
Right.
So pretty good. Sporocyst can't hold objectives, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But the Tyrannocyte can. Like, even, and it's 12 wounds, so it could be obscured. So these could be like your home field objective holders as well.
Yeah, that's fair. And the interesting thing about Tyrannocytes that people don't often remember is because they look like drop pods, right? But they actually they don't have to deep strike. So
yeah.
While you can only transport models with them when you set them up in Deep Strike, you can just deploy your Tyrannocyte and waddle it around the table. And it's
no one wants to shoot at it.
It's not good, but it's fine. Yeah. And it has an invulnerable save and it's -1 damage, and it's like 95 points if you just take Death Spitters and like you gonna shoot this thing?
Yeah, do you want to shoot at it? I mean, you can, but like, what's the point? Like, what are you gonna get out of it?
Yeah. And you get super crazy. You make it Synapse with an adaptive physiology. We've done it.
Yeah, you give it.
Really done it.
You give it Synapse so it can give itself offset.
Too far. Yeah, exactly. Too far down the rabbit hole, maybe. This big brain Tyrannocyte over here.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. I think that I think that that's an interesting play to run to the Tyrannocyte. I think it's interesting to run stuff like the Molochs, the Tyrannocytes, the Harpies, things like that. I think it's really good. The list that I really want to run is just Harridan, trying to figure out a good thing for that. But yeah, I love the Army of Renown. I think it's great.
Yeah, I'm excited to play non-Harridan lists first, and then probably end up with a version of a Harridan list, because I don't know, I'm like 60 games in with Harridan right now.
You've joined the hype train of the Harridan,
of the
right?
Harridan clan over here, like.
It's so good. It just flies under the radar. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, so we did have, I think, potentially this past weekend, chat, our first undefeated Harridan list in a GT. It didn't win the GT, and unfortunately one of the undefeated games was a draw, but it did technically go undefeated, and it took second place. And interestingly, I believe it took second place to a Forces of the Hive Mind list. I'm gonna see if I can pull it out. Yeah, so I'm gonna grab I'll grab the list right here. This past weekend, West Coast GT, Andreas Holm, who I believe plays over on Breaking Heads, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I might be wrong about that. I'm pretty sure he does. Played a Harridan list, chat. Look at this big Harridan down here. Oh, gorgeous. Yeah, XO and 1. 401 was his record. Congratulations, but I think Harridan, he's really doing it. He's and we Andreas actually the week or 2 weeks ago actually went X and 1 with the same list, but and I think it's just gonna get better now that dude has damage reduction and all of these extra abilities. It's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be nuts. I love it. What a time to be alive for Tyranid players, man. Like, oh, dude, when I came in at 8th edition. It always felt like garbage. I always felt like I had to use 150% of my brain power in order to like eke out like a 2-point win.
Yeah.
And now I could just be like, all right, I'm gonna lay back for a little bit for like turns 1 through 3, and then I'll start thinking.
Yeah, we get some freebies finally. We get to feel what it's like planning like eighth edition Space Marines or whatever, where
yeah, we have
just do
breathing
whatever
room
and
now. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I do think that one thing definitely to keep in mind, regardless of how powerful this version of the list becomes, and I personally I do think it's going to be powerful. It remains to be seen whether it's going to be better than like the mid range stuff. Interestingly, I think the mid range lists, because they are sort of keyed to deal with damage reduction, may be good against it. But again, toughness 8 kind of sucks for Tyranids that aren't for just Tyranids in general that aren't like bringing a bunch of monsters. So who knows? Yeah. But I do think it's going to be competitive. That said, you're going to be playing low model count, and I do think low model count is actually going to be difficult to play. So, as much as we can be like, just use transhuman, just run your monsters into your opponent's face and do whatever. I think the number of times your opponent's going to be able to outmaneuver you, to use terrain to their advantage, because terrain, unlike a lot of other Tyranid lists, suddenly becomes your enemy if you're running these big, huge base monsters that can't really stand in good places. And I think, it's gonna be tough to. It's gonna be difficult to play, but it's gonna be very rewarding, I think, because getting the monsters into the perfect positions and using the maneuverability that they can bring you is gonna be super rewarding. So,
I think that we're gonna have to wait and see what the new rules for the GT are. I think we have to see what's going to happen on the next Monatorium Field Manual, what's going on there. When the new rod comes out, I feel like the standard Leviathan list that you're seeing now is probably going to go the way of the Dodo a little bit, just because they don't have as much stuff to do those actions like rod and everything like that very easily. We also don't know what's going to happen with Genestealer cults, if they're going to keep blips or not.
Right.
And that's a huge benefit for Tyranids right now when it comes to Alpha Strike with planes and things like that. So I think that after we see those changes in about a month, then we might see more of Army of Renowned lists coming out of the woodworks once everything settles.
Yeah, 100% agree with you on that. I think at least the changes that we've seen so far to the GT packet definitely benefit this list, in that they're worse for the other version, right? Lictors not being able to score engage or do rod effectively means that that super reliable portion of the game plan of the regular list is gone. This list, on the flip side, is not very much affected by the changes to engage on all fronts, because it's all monsters and multi-model warrior units for the most part. And it's going to be able to score more attrition-based secondaries a little bit better. So things like grind them down, objective based on killing enemy units rather than standing places. All of those are going to be much better for it.
Yeah. Now, I have a question for you.
Yes.
All right. And I think that this is a question that's on everybody's mind right now. This is the big white elephant in the room. Carnifexes. What are you looking at? Like, what do you think about them?
Have we done it? Are Carnifexes great again?
Yeah. What's your opinion? Because right now I am like on the edge. I'm on the fence with them.
Yeah, I think that is probably the appropriate place to be, and I'm probably there too. I'm definitely more excited about the big 18 wounders right now, but I do think that, like we talked about, Carnifexes do have the potential to slot in as that kind of flex pick, because if there's one thing we can say about the Carnifex chassis, it is ridiculously flexible, right? You can take the melee loadouts, you can take the range loadouts, you can take long range guns, you can take short range guns, you could be tanky, you could be cheap, and the chassis just being benefited generically by all of these abilities in a huge way just makes it better across the board, right? So I think I've gone through sort of I've gone from Carnifex as being mostly a meme to being like a legitimate option that I would certainly consider in my list, especially to take that Quad Devourer build and just start danking little units of people to death.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on the same fence with you. I I want them to be great,
Yeah.
right? Like I want them to be just the dreadnought equivalent that they've always were meant to be.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just like 8 wounds, even with the -1 damage, even with a 5-up invuln. If you spend 1 CP for transhuman and you're taking multiple Carnifexes, that just means that the other ones can get targeted and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
It's not the problem still stands that it's not difficult to kill them. Right? Like you shoot 2 last cannons at him, he's probably going to die.
Yeah.
Unless you roll super hot. And that's the biggest problem that I see with those guys. It's just that. But I do like the flexibility that you can get with them for the holding objectives with 8 models if they're still at top wounds, stuff like that. Those are the only yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think probably I think their melee output lacks a little bit too much to be like spammed. So I doubt we see like, we talked about it a little bit before, but I mean, you can take 32 Carnifexes in a list, right? You can't fit it into 2,000 points, but you have forced organization slots to take 1 billion Carnifexes. I doubt that list sees play for the reasons that you talked about. They're not actually that hard to kill. Our Carnifex is like 1/2 of a Redemptor Dreadnought, right? For like basically the same points cost. And unlike the Thick City list, right, where that list wants you to come fight it, and then when it does, it punches back super hard. Carnifexes kind of suck at fighting, even with all of the buffs. And part of it is that like a core function of the data sheet from a melee standpoint is basically broken in that you can't stack their +1s to hit, which is a big deal. So you can't bioweapon them to be hitting on 2s in melee because they already give themselves +1 to hit when they charge, so they're not hitting on 2s, they're hitting on 3s. But that said, you can stack a lot of that stuff with ranged attacks. So I think that if we do see Carnifexes, it's probably going to be 2 to 3 in a list, and it's probably going to be with the ranged attacks.
With DACA.
Because you can enhance senses them, which increases their ballistic skill, which means you can also then bioweapon bond individual Carnifexes to hit on 2s. So 24 shots hitting on 2s. That's very good. That's gonna kill a lot of dudes.
Yeah, it's decent at least, because the problem still stands that it has 0 AP. Like if you're shooting into something like freaking Drakari infantry, right?
Yeah.
Like anything with like a 5-up save, you're gonna kill it whether you're shooting it with Devours or if you're shooting it with Flesh Borers or you're shooting it with freaking I don't know, Storm Bolters, right? It doesn't matter. It's just that if there was a strat in this book that gave Devours on Carnifex's AP1, I would be totally down for Carnifexes. Like hands down, I would love them. But at AP0, I mean, for the points cost, it's kind of hard. To be
fair, like they're AP0, but so are the Devours on Termagants, and people find a way to make that data sheet work somehow.
Yeah. Well, but they have Relentless Flurry or whatever, and
you can still flurry these guys. It's not as good for sure.
It's not as good.
You're not rerolling, and you're not getting.
Yeah.
But they are strength 6 though, so they wound instead of wounding on 4s and 5s, they wound a lot of stuff on 3s.
On 3s and 2s.
3s and 2s.
Yeah.
But I also think it's not like the focus of your list, right? In the Devour Termagant lists, the goal of the list is to kill things with Devour Termagants for the most part, right? You're like, we got some Hive Guard, and the Hive Guard make you come forward, and then assuming that my opponent cooperates with me and graciously allows me to shoot them with my Devour Termagants, then I'll do that, and I'll kill them. But in this list, you're like, I got 2 Carnifexes, and they'll just like run around and hide behind a building, and if my opponent has some idiots that I need to kill, they'll just run and go do that. Whereas the other version, like, you're spending 400 points on these Devoured Termagants and rerolling them and bioweapon bonding them and all this stuff. And it feels to me like the Carnifexes, I guess, are in this instance are going to be more of utility in it. I'm also super biased because I think Devoured Termagants are hot garbage, but...
What? You're crazy.
Oh my god. How do you How do you shoot somebody with those things, dude?
I love them.
Let
dude,
me
they're
tell
great.
you what beats that Devour Termagant squad, and it's this one Carnifex
Anything.
who comes in and just shoots and kills like 20 of them, and then says go. These Termagants are like, if only you weren't slightly faster than me and I could outrange you, then I would have a chance. And the Carnifex is like, yeah. It's like when like little short guys trying to fight, and the Carnifex is like holding his head back. He's like, no.
Just like pushing him away.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Even
Okay.
like there's some Hyrule in this list, right? And they just like shoot 10 Termagants to death every turn and just like pass the clock.
Yeah.
The Termagants are like, what do I do? How do I fight that?
All right, last model question that I have for you. Okay.
Shoot.
All right. Where are we looking at with the horror specs?
The horror specs?
Yeah, where are we looking? It's T8, 175 points or 170 points.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. You know, you can give it D3 extra attacks. You can give it explosions, stuff like that. -1 damage. 5-up invul now. You don't have to use Dermic Symbiosis on it anymore. Unless you want to give it like what's it called? Murderous Size if you really want to. But yeah, where are we looking at it?
I think the problems of the horror specs, in my opinion, are that it costs so much to get work out of it. Like it's already 170 points, which is a chunk of change, right, for a 13 wounder. Like we're Hive Tyrant territory. We're like a step below Dimacaron territory. And you're like, that comparison is not even, that doesn't even exist, right? Like Dimacaron's just gonna, it's so much faster, it's so much more maneuverable, and it's
yeah.
I mean, it's 60. What is it? Or I guess Dimacarons are 250 now, so it's 80 points less, which is a lot. But we're getting up there, and it costs basically 2 CP every time this thing makes an attack, right? Because you want to reroll your hit rolls and you want to reroll your wound rolls for the most part to get the most damage out of it. And I think for a unit that's as hard to like physically deliver into melee, I think that is not amazing.
I can see that. Yeah.
Because it's like a big base. It's only move 7. You got to double move it with Swarmlord, and even then, it's moving 14 around walls, so it's only probably moving like 10 inches as the crow flies. And then you have to charge, and then it has to be charging something that matters, and then you got to drop 2 CP on it, right? And it's like, it's a lot of hoops to jump through.
I guess you're right.
Like, what if we... What is it, elites? So we could
It's an elite, yeah.
We could fit, like, 2 of these guys in with a bunch of Hyrudules, right? And just be like, do you
want to build a list right now?
Here's 100 wounds. Yeah, all right, new list. Let's do it. Here's, like, 100 wounds at toughness 8. And just say go. Yeah,
it's just the T8, and I just love the model so much, man. I love the way that the horror specs looks. I wish it was good. Okay,
yeah, I think if it was like, if it just freaking rerolled its attack rolls as a built-in thing, I think I'd be like in on it. Or if it was like move 10 or something, like the move 7, weapon skill 4 is like, what are you doing? GW, this is a melee unit. Why are all of the strats that it requires to
attack,
be
by the way?
Melee? Yeah, exactly.
This is the guy that's supposed to destroy anything in combat. Only 4 attacks. Womp womp.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's 4 attacks like asterisk, right? Because those 4 attacks could easily be like 100 attacks if it just keeps attacking with its like little thing.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So like, what type of list you want to build here? You want to build a meme list, or what do you want to do?
I mean, there's horror specs in it. It's already a meme list.
Okay. All right. We're going all meme. Okay. Put in some Carnifexes.
No, we got it. It's toughness 8. It's toughness 8 the list, I think. So we got a spearhead detachment, right? We got a spearhead detachment. We have to put some. Oh, there's my heavy support.
Only T8, right? Wait, we can't. That's impossible.
Well,
we have no T8 HQs.
It doesn't have to be all T8, but the stuff that's going to be in line of sight, like we could just take Neurothropes if we wanted to, right? But the stuff that's going to be in line of sight, we want to be mostly T8.
All right. Okay.
So we take Hyrudules, right?
Mm-hmm. We could take a Turbogon.
3 Barbies. We do have a toughness 8 HQ.
Yeah, we could take a Turbogon. Bro, we could take a Turbogon and leave out 10 points, so then we could spawn in Turbogons into the game.
Can you spawn just like 2 Termagants?
You could spawn like a group of 10, I think, as long as you have the army points, and
but
then
you need,
I don't think it breaks it.
Right. Yeah. So I believe the Termagants also get all of the Army of Renown abilities, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
because
it
I
would
think
be
they ruled recently that effects that require your army to be a certain thing do not change if things that aren't functioned by or aren't hit by that restriction or
because what's it called? Spore mines get the keywords when you spawn them, right? So it would be the same thing as Termagants.
It was a question for summoning units if they broke your subfaction, your like army-wide abilities, and they ruled that they don't. Let me look here.
Dude. So we just spend like 3 turns spawning Termagants behind a wall, and then all of a sudden we have.
So should the army just be 3 Termagants? Like nothing else. It's just 3 Termagants.
By the end of the game, you have 30 Gaunts that you can replenish, all with a 5-up invuln. That's funny. Oh, dude.
All right, that time the stream did go down actually for real, and I don't know why, but we're good now.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the FAQ here that determines exactly how that works.
Yeah. It's an interesting. It's not good by any means.
Definitely some
it's
tech,
funny.
Although, I mean, to be fair, a Turvagon, right? Like, if you're playing Leviathan, you can build the hyper tank Turvagon. He's like T8, -1 to be wounded. He's got the 5+ vulnerable save. He's got the -1 damage. It's a lot of. It's hard to kill that dude, right? And if you just drop like 100 points to get some Termagants into your army, assuming that they get all of the abilities, that's like a pretty big deal. Actually,
and then you could give the Turvagon adaptive bio too, so it's -2 damage.
Oh, there was a Rising Tide errata the day before yesterday that I missed.
What?
Nothing changed. Nothing changed.
Good to know. Thank you, GW.
Nothing changed. Yeah, it's just clarification. I guess I can put this on the stream. I don't. There was a clarification to Gestalt Commander, which tells you how it works, which is fair, and then something loses instinctive behavior. Oh, I think that is that the page 117. Which page is that? Whatever. That's not pertinent. I don't think that changed anything. Who cares? I think that's the thing where if I lose
instinctive behavior, I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's the -1 to charge if you're not charging the nearest thing.
Right. Yeah, I think the thing that they were referencing in that errata is the there's the stratagem to make anything you want in no, that's called something different. Did I just close this window like a dummy? No, I don't have it anymore. Perfect. This is the content people sign up for sure.
Yeah. I saw chat mention spore mines. If you spawn spore mines, I'm pretty sure that they would get 5
plus invulnerable save.
Oh, could do that and then give them a. You could put transhuman on one singular spore mine if you really wanted to. It's interesting.
Oh, it's a crusade thing that got errated. Ignore me, chat. All right, I think this was in GT.
Are we talking about the FAQ for spawning units? Yeah, it's in the.
Is it in GT or is it in core?
I think it's in might be in the core rules from a long time ago, like 8th edition.
No, this is recent. I think if I remember correctly, the oh yeah, so here it is. If every unit in your army labels. The condition of every unit in your army is checked once after you've selected your army, which happens at the end of the muster army step of the mission. Such rules either apply for the duration of the battle or they don't. If the condition is satisfied at the end of the step, those rules will apply throughout the battle regardless of whether or not new units are added to your army during the battle that might not satisfy that condition. Boom.
Boom. So there we go.
Boom.
Termagants getting...
Termagants, crush your Stampede Termagants. That get a 5
up
vulnerable
invuln.
save. We're really doing
Let's
it,
go.
chats.
Why would you ever take the custom high fleet ever? It's
Oh my god. Incredible. Incredible.
That's OP, dude. That's OP.
Oh, they don't count as part of your army if that in that condition, chat? Is that correct? Maybe I should have kept reading.
So many words.
It's so many words, and they're all blue, which is not easy on the eyes.
Hurt my eyes, dude.
Oh my god. Is that a reinforcement rule thing? I've never reinforced the unit on the table. Actually, I think I did once with a Turbigon. Each time a unit is added to your army during the battle, subtract from your pool of reinforcement points. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. I don't see a thing that doesn't count them as part of your army.
If something's added, it could also be a Tyranids FAQ.
Oh, it's in
well.
Tyranids. It looks like that's what chat's saying. That's what. Oh, okay. All right. I think I see it. It's units in. So the detachment abilities are given to units in detachments. These abilities are anything from your army. So they don't get objective secured, I think, is the
that the big thing?
the final effect, yeah, because they are not inside your detachment. They're added separately.
But that doesn't matter because we could just spend 1 CP.
1 CP, make them objective secured.
Make an OPSEC unit
Hell yeah.
objective secured. We're gonna break this game.
Okay. All right, I understand, chat. So it looks to me, unless I'm missing something, which I'm sure chat will remind me if I am, that they do get the invulnerable save, but they do not get objective secured. But somebody should clarify if I'm missing a rule somewhere. I don't see it, but it's 40k, so that doesn't mean it's not there, because it could be like there could be a RADA to a kill team document that changes how 40k works, and we wouldn't know.
Dude, we could probably make an entire list called Break the Game, where you just put in all the rules that Tyranids have that literally breaks the game.
So we could just take 2 Tervigons, 2 Harrispexes, and 5 Hierodules, and then that's a list.
That's so stupid.
Oh no, we're 15 points over. Tervigons, why do you have to pay for your weapons? You're the worst. We cut one Barbie turns into a scythe, and then we're good. Toughness 8, the list. We've done it.
Boom, easy.
I sort of want a Maliceptor. Poor Harrispex gets cut for Maliceptor. So we got 1 Harrispex in there, and then we have in this list there are 8 Toughness 8 models in a Maliceptor bubble. Well, they won't all be in a Maliceptor bubble. You could probably only fit 3, but they're there. Close enough.
This is the worst list I've ever seen in my entire life.
This is not a good list, but it is all Toughness 8. Yeah. So, and it also doesn't have any points to spawn Termagants. Oh, you can get 5. We get 5 Termagants on this. All these Termagants. I think realistically, we play a Swarmy Boy. This one Swarmy Boy. Maybe we just axe the Maliceptor. As good as that dude is. We're already spending a bunch of CP. And then we have 100 and some odd. We have almost another Harrispex. We have Marnie.
Just put it in.
Just put it. We're 5 points over,
Put it in.
unfortunately.
Oh.
Rip. We can just get an old Neurothrope there. He doesn't count because he can't shoot him.
Yeah. We don't need Swarm Lord.
You got to get the Horus
Yeah, we
Specs to
do.
the melee somehow.
Yeah, we do. We need Swarm Lord.
The goal is to fight with Horus Specs. Unless you take warriors or something, you can't be Crusher Stampede. No, it's one monster per non-monster, and we have like 9 monsters and 1 non-monster. 8 monsters, sorry, chat.
This is dumb. This is dumb.
So yeah, this list wants warriors in it with these extra.
What are the
points.
secondaries that you would take for this list?
I think like we engage, and
Can you two collab on a Harridan list with new rules? Would
TTL?
love to see it.
Maybe.
all right. Brandon's super chatting us to build a Harridan list. So we're literally contractually obligated to build a Harridan list now. Thanks for the super chat, Brandon. I appreciate it, man. We don't need to save this list. So we need super heavy ox.
Yeah.
And
then
battalion, probably. We'll just start with a battalion and we'll change it later if we want. So super heavy ox gets this one Harridan. My window is not big enough to find Harridan. There he is.
Harridan.
Everything's Leviathan so that we can reserve him if our opponent somehow has the ability to one round a -1 damage Harridan.
Good luck.
I'm right.
Good luck. Like to see you try.
Yeah. So I played against Knights in Alpha League yesterday. And in preparation, I was doing lots of math on how much damage the Castellan actually does to Harridan. And the answer is a buffed Harridan takes about 12. A -1 damage Harridan probably takes like 8. If he's 4+ invulnerable save, he probably takes like 6 damage from that dude.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is it. This is it.
Those Castellans, man, they do not like -1 to hit, dude. They don't like shooting up. They want to shoot down all day. But like forced to hit with that thing is like, oh boy, you miss a lot. So I think we put a Swarmy Boy in there so that we can rocket Dimacrons at people. I think we just take Dimacrons, right?
I think here we decide what we want to do. Do we want Shoot Town or do we want monsters, right? Because I think that from here we need to figure out what our secondaries are that we want to take.
So I think you probably. It's a good question. I think that the downside of the Dimacrons is that they immediately attract attention, right? Because your opponent's like, I could shoot at this thing that's T8 and -1 to hit. Or I could shoot at this thing that's T7 and not -1 to hit. Probably shoot that guy, I guess. The downside, I mean...
You could drop 2 CP for Transhuman, which makes them a little bit more durable.
Right.
But if we take that, then we lose out on the option of taking to the last, unless we want to put the Demas as to the last units.
Or we take units bigger than Dimacrons.
We could take Barbed Hyrule.
We could take, I mean, Hiveguard are also bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, so we could take Barbed Hyrule, and that does the other thing, right? Where it presents this wall of toughness 8. And you can also fit all of those in a Maleceptor Aura. And then take some warriors.
Yeah. I feel like at the Maleceptor, we don't really need the Maleceptor because even like its Synapse Link, Link isn't going to really affect us, and the stratagem for -2 damage.
You don't even take this Synapse.
Or -1 strength.
I think you take this. Yeah, he's just there for Encephalic Diffusion for sure.
Yeah.
And then we take some warriors to do stuff. 3 bioweapon bonds seems like a lot, but we maybe just need 2.
Yeah.
And then we have like 150 points to play with. To fill out, this could turn into a patrol, I think, right now, and we wouldn't have to worry about it. We could take Neros. The other option actually is that we take double Smashies.
Double Smashy Flyrants?
Yeah. Because then you can hide everything that isn't Harridan. because they don't care about, like, they'll hide behind obscuring, right? Just fine.
Yeah.
So we go adrenal and toxin, and then double that. Those do eat our adaptive physiologies, though. So unless we want to cut the Warlord trait as well, which feels real bad, maybe we just do one Smashy. Maybe we do one, and then we do one Resonance Barb guy with guns. Is he just like quad devours on one dude?
We would need that because we wouldn't have any way to get rid of chaff.
Yeah. So Swarmlord, the Shooty Hive Tyrant, a melee Hive Tyrant, Harridan. I got 3 units warriors in there right now.
But what are the points looking like right now?
We have
68.
Yeah, we have 432 points remaining.
All right. We have enough to put in a lictor.
Are we building for the current secondaries or the future secondaries?
Well, I say let's do current. We'll do current.
Okay. Well, then it's 2 lictors 100% of the time. And
well, we could put in one lictor. We'd have to drop a Tyranid warrior to put in another lictor or put in another monster.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because we have 4 right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could put more monsters in, right?
Yeah.
It's not the end of the
Could
world.
run. We can either run more monsters, or we could put in a Maliceptor and 6 Hive Guard and drop a lictor, probably, and then that would give us a Leviathan. A Leviathan like standard Hive Guard stuff, but you would need Swarm Leader.
You have bioweapon bonds, right? And there's nowhere there else they're going besides the Harridan. And I mean, maybe they go on the quad Devourer guy, but you have plays you can do.
Yeah.
You can also just put another bioweapon bond in, right? Oh no, we're over right now. We're over by 60. That's a lot.
Oof. So we would have to cut. See, this is the problem that I was having with my Harridan list, where I'm just like, what do I put in here?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Let's see. Here, let me see what I have.
While you think about it, I gotta jump off real quick for a break.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then I'll be back in like 2 minutes. So stay good, chat.
Hey, chat. How y'all doing? I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but hello. Chat, can you hear me? Help me! Save me! Hey guys, how you guys doing? Get back to work? I can't. I am working. I have to do chapter tactics after this. But let's see. What can we do here with this Harridan list? Last night I tried to build as many Harridan lists as I possibly can. And it is kind of difficult to do because there's just so much stuff that you want, but it's hard to fit it all into a list that's like legal. Last night I built 5 different Army of Renown lists. Let's see. Where is my Harridan list? Did I just reduce it down to only one list with Harridan? I did. Okay, cool. Yeah, I feel like this one might be good. Yeah. The list needs more exocrines, yeah. 9 Carnifex with mix of shooty / melee swarmy. That sounds pretty nasty. 9 Carnifexes, that's what? 9 times 8 is, what's that? 48? Is that the number? Man, I'm not good at math.
All right, what's the good word?
All right, so this list right here. This is pretty good, but this is also very
Experimental.
It's very basic.
Oh.
It's very basic,
Oh,
you know.
no.
We're going AOR, right? We gotta dump into the whole monster thing, right? So, how do you feel about dropping the Hive Guard and the Maleceptor?
I love
Let's
it.
just say screw Hive Guard. We don't need them. We have a Harridan.
I screw Hive Guard every day.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
like,
the other
forget
way.
the Hive.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ho-ho!
Okay. And what do you say we put in 2 Demas?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have our 3 Tyranid warriors.
Mm-hmm.
We put in a Smashy Flyrant,
Mm-hmm.
just 1.
Mm-hmm.
We got Swarmy and double Lictors.
So we're cutting the shooty Flyrant
Yeah.
for Dimacrons, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So this way we get grind, we get engage, and we get we still get rod as of right now.
2 Lictors
Right?
2 Lictors, you just get rotted. Yeah, you get rod engaged for free, and the last one you can kind of figure out as you go.
Exactly. And then the other Tyranid warriors, you can bump it up to 5 just with Scything Talons, just to like hold objectives and just be beefy.
Yeah.
You don't really need anything. So we're looking at the main damage just coming from the Harridan and the 2 Demacarians.
2 points over. I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Getting it 7 in there. I kind of like the big. How are we feeling about the big warrior brick in this list?
I feel like that if we're taking big warrior brick, we need to get rid of Harridan.
Do we?
I think that's the only. I feel like that's the only way it functions.
What if the big warrior brick is our chaff clearing because they get barbed stranglers? They get some strangly
Now you're speaking
boys
my language.
Up in there.
Okay. All right.
So what if we took? Oops, I deleted my Despitter guy. I just put in. What is that? I mean, that unit costs approximately 1 million points, unfortunately, but we're already spending Harridan money. So what's another 1 million points? So there's 6 boys, and then we have to add the weird separate one who has the biocannon. There it is. He takes one strangly boy. We'll keep talons on him for right now. And then we are. I think you bioweapon bond to that unit instead of one of the little units because that one's going to be surviving the longest. Yeah. And we are.
Wait, no, we can't. Dude, we can't do that because then we can't spend the CP to have them shoot in combat with the
Well,
Barb
you can shoot in combat with the Death Spitters, though.
Come on, nah. I'm kidding.
Here's what happens. They charge you, right? You just pull your Barb Strangler models. Then you don't even have to worry about it. You just kill your own. Well, yeah, you put your wounds on your expensive biocannon guys. You don't need those guys.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds. I like it. It's perfect. You know what?
Oh,
you know
even
what it does?
better. We put Lash with Bone Sword on them so they can fight when they die. After we kill them.
It's worth.
Totally worth.
We're thinking so outside the box that there's nothing anyone can do about it.
So this is they support the macarons, man.
I know. I mean, we could switch it over to a patrol and then take out one of the Tyranid warriors.
I mean, it doesn't matter, right? Because patrol fits 3 troops anyway. So it's like.
Yeah, but
we could just cut one for points. Yeah, we could do cut. Basically, and then
we're over by 30. Take out 1 Lictor. Oh, that hurts to look at. Yeah,
maybe the big warrior brick isn't so good.
Where are my rippers, bro?
If you like physiology, them too. They eat 2 CP if you want to give them +1 to hit.
Yeah,
that's so many.
I feel like that shooty warriors just aren't the play. Like it's so expensive for what they get.
Death Spitters, there's no universe in which Death Spitters should be 6 points. We truly live in the darkest universe for sure.
Like even the Devourers being 4 points, like even if you give them a 2 up to hit, like it's not worth 200 points for that many, for like 20 shots.
Yeah.
You could bring a Carnifex instead.
Sorry, Tyranid.
This is like the only time when a Carnifex would be a better choice.
You're not wrong. Yeah, we're doing Harridan list right now, or Harridan Dimacron list right now, chat, because it got super chatted.
Yeah. This would be the base. I think that this is a good base so far.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I don't know how much damage output we need besides 2 Dimacrons and Harridan.
Yeah. Well, and then we have
so
the Smashy Flyran as well.
Yeah, and a Smash Flyran. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could just fill it with warriors, right?
Yeah, just like min squad warriors, and then those just hold objectives, and then like the big monsters are the ones that are the. Because we can give the Dima obsec.
My neighbor's fire alarm just went off.
Oh,
I hope I don't die.
Yeah, but we can give the Dima's obsec. They're
Maybe
still
their fire
very,
alarm went
very
off
aggressive.
because this list is so fire.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you said. It took me a while to understand what you said.
Okay. So if we're playing GT 2021, we just have triple warrior, 2 lictors, 2 Dimacrons, Smash Tyrant, 2, and then Harridan.
Yeah. I think
that list is
perfect.
legit good.
Yeah. You can like put in 2 extra. You could probably put in like 2 or 3 extra warriors in there, but I don't think that.
Yeah, we got there's 80 points left in this list to play around with.
Put in a Sporcis. Or not a Sporcis, what's it called?
Tyrannocyte?
A Tyrannocyte.
Tyrannocyte for the memes? We're 12 points over in Tyrannocyte. No, Tyrannocyte. Why are you so expensive? Stop it.
Oh, no.
We could put in, I think...
Never mind.
If we cut our adrenal glands, we get a Carnifex with no upgrades. Are they 100 points? Get out of here.
No, there should be... Oh, yeah, they are.
I thought they were 80. Oh, they're 80, but without the stupid weapons. God damn it. Carnifexes, why are you like this? What is the current cost of the Devour Carnifex? It's like
I think it's like 135 or something.
I think it's 135 when it's upgraded, right? It's assists for 10.
And then you need
so 140.
Yeah.
That's
so expensive.
It is a lot. It's a lot.
That's so expensive for 24 shots.
Yeah. So this list, I think you could play with the last couple points.
Yeah.
If you
flex it.
Yeah, if we're not going for new secondaries, you cut the lictors.
Yeah, you cut the lictors, and you would have enough points to put in a Moloch.
Boom. Boom. Moloch, just like that. They're heavy support. Or you could just cut them and spend those extra points for Raveners.
Yeah.
No, they're still not good at Rod, though, so that's probably not.
Yeah, they're not good at Rod. They're not good at
They're good at Engage. But
they can get you Engage. Yeah. But you're already taking Engage, so you don't need it. So you need a third secondary that would work well. Can't take to the last because the Demacarians are gone of this. They'll die immediately. Can't bring Swarm, so you can't bring Sky Slashers. I would say you'd probably cut a Warrior Blob and see if you can fit 2 Molochs. No, that wouldn't solve anything. Sheesh.
Yeah, I think the play is to do a to the last thing.
Mm-hmm. You'd have to take out the Dimas for to the last.
Yeah.
And then you would have to switch over to like Hive Guard, the Maliceptor, and then have your to the last units be Swarm Lord and the Mali. Or Swarm Lord.
Swarm Lord and the Hive Guard.
Yeah, Hive Guard and Harridan.
Yeah, so like, and I mean, to be fair, like this is basically the list I'm playing right now.
Yeah.
It cuts Gene Stealers, which is problematic.
Is your chaff clear?
Yeah, and they also they can disrupt enemy objectives, which this list doesn't do very well. The Demacrons are actually kind of sick at that. Because you can make them obsec
when they have
just, like,
obsec.
blitz objectives with them and just clear them.
Yeah. The best thing about Gene Stealers is that they're obsec, so you can like get onto an objective, assault some units, and then tie things up and just string them out. You just have so much utility.
The best thing about Gene Stealers is that they're very good. That's where we're at. They do a bunch. They're fast. They do a bunch of damage, and they're hard to kill, and they also stand on objectives.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they're hard to kill. They're pretty easy to kill.
It's like 20-ish wounds at a 5+ hit bonus is just like sort of it is very annoying to kill for sure.
Yeah.
I
would say if we're gonna run this, do we really need Swarmlord?
That's heresy. That's heresy right there. Okay.
What about
think about it, right?
Tyranid?
Like, what are we going to sling off the board besides a
No.
Hive Tyrant?
Brandon with another super chat, dude. Just dropping them all day, man. I appreciate it. Asking about Tyranid, which are basically just cheaper Dimacrons. They don't run over walls. Is the downside.
Yeah, they don't have flip belt.
Yeah. They do fix that infantry problem though, because those guys will kill literally infinite infantry. They'll kill infantry in your opponent's charge phase. They'll do it.
Well, why not just go for Tyrannifexes instead? They're just cheaper.
Just play Tyrannifexes. Just play easy. What if we did? What if we just went all in? What if where's it? Where'd my fast attack go? Oh no, too many points. One bioweapon bond? We only need one, right?
Yeah, Dima doesn't need it.
We play it. Yeah, Dima's fine. The Harridans like it.
But they don't care because it's flamers. Yeah. So
yeah. We're still not good at any secondaries though, to be fair. We're just
Nice fit, guys.
No, we can do engage, we can do grind, and we can do
3 warrior squads, 2x Dima, 1x
grind?
Bob, Tyra duel, 1x side Tyra duel, Nightzilla baby.
Assassinate.
Connor Nichols with the super chat as well. Throwing his list out. I imagine it's 3 units of 6 warriors, right? I don't think you could take 6 units of warriors. Do you have enough big boys for that? You have 2 Dimacrons, Barb Size, so that's 4. Smash, Flyrant, Swarmlord. Yeah, so you need one more monster, I think.
Well, he has 2 Dimas.
2 Dimas, Barb Tyranid, Side Tyranid, 2 Tyrants is 6, right? And he has 7 non-monsters.
Yeah.
Unless it's 3 units of 6 warriors, in which case that's fine. Although you could take 1x9 and 2x, or a bunch of 3-mans at that point, right? I like the big 9-man warrior squad. I think I bet we hit a point where the 9-man warrior squad is the way to go every time. Because you can put a 4+ invulnerable. Oh, I guess the 4+ invulnerable is only 1 model in that unit, but you could just catalyst those guys and run up the table and.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not a big fan of them. Just maybe I've been burned too much with them.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing. I've been playing them in the castle list, like double Hive Guard castle, and they're the crenellated walls of the castle for the most part.
Yeah, because they're so hard to kill.
Yeah, but a lot of times, like, especially that list and the Harridan list too, you just need a unit that just sits on an objective, and you don't care if it gets shot to pieces, and it's probably not going to die if it gets shot at by most stuff. Yeah. And that that unit's very good at that.
The thing that I don't like about Castle Tyranid list is that it feels not Tyranidy. You know, like it's just they should be all over the board, right? And like just taking stuff.
No. Tyranids are all about doing nothing and shooting ranged attacks at your opponent from behind line of sight blockers. Of course.
Yeah.
Haven't you watched
totally lore
Aliens?
accurate,
That's
right?
what happened in Aliens.
Oh yeah, dude, my favorite part was when Ripley was about to kill the alien and then the alien just said, sorry, I'm -1 to wound.
The alien like pulled out its howitzer and they brought that cool APC in.
Yeah.
And it just got nuked from orbit because the aliens they'd set up their artillery 10 miles away and you couldn't see them. You missed that part of that movie? It was the most exciting part. I liked it when she got in the big exosuit and then their spaceship got shot by a laser, you know? She was about to fight the alien queen and then got double tapped by 6 hive guard and died.
I'm just saying that if that alien queen just, re-rolled the hit rolls.
If that alien queen was just playing a Crusher Stampede.
Yeah, he would have killed her.
Yeah.
Get 6 mortal wounds on that.
Like, what's the damage profile on that power lifter, right?
Oh, it's
probably
at least
just
like
damage.
T6.
If it was -1 damage and she had a 5+ invulnerable save, the alien queen would have beaten that stupid thing.
Ripley's just in a glorified or is just in a prototype for a Dread Knight.
Yeah.
That's all it really is.
Yeah, a Sentinel power lifter only has D3 damage. If you're -1 damage, that thing's not doing shit. What is just run 3 alien queens, right, chat?
What
is the alien queen? Is the alien queen a broodlord? Yeah. It's 100% a broodlord, right? And it's actually just garbage, and the Sentinel power lifter cuts it in half. Yeah. Just you're right. No, you just transhuman it. And it's fine. It's -2 to wound against the Sentinel power lifter. Sentinel power lifters are strength 10. That's a lot.
D3 damage.
D3 damage. With
Strength
2 additional
10.
attacks. It makes 3 attacks.
That's so bad. How many points is it?
50 points. I played a combat patrol game against 3 Sentinel power lifters one time.
Man, Ripley's so efficient in points, dude.
Ripley is like the tank commander version of the Sentinel power lifter. She gets like tank orders or whatever. She's like double moving around the table. Is it? Oh, it might be Legends, chat. Is it Legends?
I don't know.
I hope
I've never even heard of the thing.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're cool, man.
Dude, there's so much like Imperium and Space Marine crap that I just don't read into because there's so many.
Yeah, it's just the endless like Imperial Guard list.
Yeah.
Look at chat. Look at this datasheet list here. It just keeps going. It never stops. Where's the sense
like that? That doesn't make me that doesn't give me joy at all. Just like more than half of those things are straight garbage.
Yeah, I can't find. Oh, they are legends. It looks like Sag. Yeah, Warhammer Legends, Sentinel Power Lifter. Too bad. All right, we can call Ripley a Dread Knight, and then she definitely wins that.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, I do have to get off momentarily, but should we take a crack at a list that uses No Forge World before we leave? Because I know lots of people in chat have been asking for it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think the list looks significantly less cool. Not the least because it doesn't have a Harridan in it. So, like, what's even the point of playing?
Because
at that point, it probably just has 6 hive guard.
Yeah, base is going to be 6 hive guard.
It has a big warrior brick. It has, which is probably bioweapon bonded. It has little warrior bricks. We're definitely on 3 hive tyrants, right? Swarmy and 2 smashies.
Oh
or something?
Yeah. Hands down, 3 hive tyrants.
Definitely 3 hive tyrants. And then
one of the hive tyrants is going to have Daka guns.
Yeah, because we're gonna. Yeah, we're probably gonna take the extra punching on one of them, right?
Yeah, so make it unkillable.
One of them gets the thing with Devours. I always click Death Spitters, and then people in chat are like, "Oh, interesting. Why are you taking Death Spitters?" And I was like, "Oh, because I misclicked. Because I only saw 2 D weapons, and I hit the wrong one." If we are current secondaries, there's 2 lictors in there probably, and we have to fill some monsters. This is definitely a list where I think we push for Carnifexes, right? I think we do some Carnifexes with Devours.
Yeah, you definitely do Carnifexes.
Senses. No things. All right.
Take enhanced. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy. Is that all the things? Yeah, 140.
140 nice. Points, yeah.
Looking good. So I think, we take 1 or 2 Carnifexes somewhere in there. Probably not in the same unit, but... What's up?
You probably take... I would say that you could probably push for 3, but 2. I think 2's fine. 2's fine.
Yeah, it's fine for a start. We got points to spend yet.
Do we want to put in another Flyrant or just
So
stick it
we
with...
are out of Flyrant point space, unless we take 2 detachments, which feels a little bit awkward.
We could take double patrol, bring 3 Flyrants and a Maliceptor.
You're speaking my language now, dude. Fucking love Flyrants, bro.
Because then we have one Flyrant that can run the, what's it called? The Bone Swords, ignore invulns if we need it.
Mm-hmm.
We can have one that's Daka, and then we can have one that's unkillable. And then they are just harassment units, right?
Yeah, we don't have a... There's no Resonance Barb? Or I guess we could pay the 2 to get Resonance Barb, which feels bad.
Yeah.
I do like having access to the Bone Sword guy. The downside is only one of them gets the extra D3 attacks, right?
Yeah, with the psychic power.
Wow, Bone Swords are more expensive than Talons? Fuck. Oh, because I put 2 of them on like an idiot. Damn it. Just ignore me. We could give that guy a gun, though. Because he only needs one melee weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. And then, like, some of these warriors move over to make that patrol legal. And then we have 200 points left. Are we good on...
Mally.
Where's 1, 2... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 5 non-monsters. And then a Mally Scepter?
Yeah.
Mally Scepter. Where's that guy at? Elites. Just scrolled by like an idiot. There it is. Mally Scepter with this doesn't have rerolls in it, so I don't like the synaptic link on him. So we probably just...
Oh yeah, because we can't do Swarm Leader, can we?
Right. And we probably don't actually need these bioweapon bonds, because the only thing that gets bioweapon bonded is the Hive Guard unit, because everything else hits on 2s.
Yeah.
No, we could bioweapon the Devour guys, or if they bracket, it's fine. So maybe we take 2.
I mean, in that case, do we need a Maliceptor? Or, well, yeah, because reroll damage is more... What's more important, reroll damage or choose to hit on Hive Guard?
Monsters rendering cost of the Hive Tyrant so we can roll damage. For that sweet CCP strat. Get +1 damage on a weapon that already swings less damage than a regular weapon. Nailing it. Good strat, chat. I like it. And then there's still 45 points left in this list. 44 points left in this list. Which we could spend on random stuff. We could just like be adrenal.
Maybe upgrades.
Yeah, I think
I don't see...
I mean, you can still take a Lictor just to be an idiot infantry, right? So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 non-monsters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5 non-monsters, 7 monsters. Yeah, so we have extra space. I did write in my notes here, and I actually think it's legit, is that Pyrovores might be like a way to go, because they're... we can almost fit 2 of them if we cut 12 points. And they're just like these like single model idiots you can screen your backline, or you can do like banners and stuff with.
Yeah. Okay.
Or maybe just 1 and we like pay for upgrades. We could like start adrenal glancing people with that points. Or toxin sacking. Probably always adrenal glands on the Flyrants.
So what warlord traits are we taking? We're taking I know that we're taking the -1 damage.
Well, if we want
relic.
physiologies, then we get 1.
You only need 1 physiology, really, right?
Well, we have 2 smashies right now.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
One of them needs murderous.
So there's 1, 2, and then it's probably D3 attacks on one of the 2, right?
Yeah.
Probably I imagine it's on the Scything Talon guy, because he's going to be the dude we send to like blow up at night or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other dude we want to keep to kill characters in the late game.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
So we're not going to take Swarm Leader chat, because it can only target the infantry. So like you can have it, right, as your 1 warlord trait, but you would be taking it instead of the extra attacks on one of the Hive Tyrants, and you're taking it only for the Hive Guard. Not to mention the fact that it's usually not very good on Hive Tyrants, because Hive Tyrants, they don't like to be tied down to only one partner, okay? They're very free-spirited, and they super suck if you have to keep them next to Hive Guard to keep buffing them.
They're swingers. They can't be tied down. They're peacock. You gotta let them fly.
Yeah. So chat, that's why we got 2 physiologies and the Warlord trait. It's because of Alpha Leader Beast. We can spend for Progeny and we can spend for Alpha Leader, and then you can swap 2 of those Warlord traits to physiologies and still get the extra one.
Yeah. I think that this is fine because this makes it so that the Hive Guard are more of a support unit and not like your main threat, because your main threats are going to be the Hive Tyrants that are just moving around and just doing all kinds of crazy shenanigans.
This list also has 2 Carnifexes in it. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
This list is actually kind of sick.
I'm totally down for it. 2 Carnies.
The surface area is super small too, because it's 4 Tyrants and 2 Carnifexes and a Hive Guard unit, and the rest you don't really care about, right? So it's like you have to hide like 6 models, and then you're like, go.
Yeah, and the secondaries that you can take.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of stuff in it. Holy shit! This is the situation where you start giving up Abhor big time, right? Actually, you're not. They can't max Abhor against you.
What are the weapons that the Tyranid warriors have? The bigger blob.
All Scything Talons.
The 168 points one.
Yeah.
It's all scything.
And then their bioweapon. Although, I mean, you could move that around.
Okay. Yeah, then that gives off better synaptic links if we need them, but we really only have 1 that we care about, which is just +1 to hit, which really doesn't benefit us too much unless something gets bracketed.
Right.
We still have stuff for the secondaries that we can aim for is like grind, no prisoners, and
this list is...
Oh, no, you can't take grind and no prisoners.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, no prisoners depends on what your opponent's taking too. Yeah. You're good on engage, I think, in this list. You are, because like worst case scenario, you just like triple move a warrior unit into a table quarter and you get engaged for 2, or the Carnifexes too. They can also score it. And you're good. You're okay with like action secondaries. So if you want to take banners or something, you just like flood your backline with warriors and just chill for a while. You can also like you can just Hive Mind Imperative the Hive Guard and they can do actions and shoot. So if you need backline actions, you can do it. And then I think for the most part, it's like seeing what your opponent's list is made out of, because you're going to try to kill a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and then if you can't find a good third secondary, you can always piggyback off of a Psychic Interrogation.
Yeah, this is great for Psychic Interrogation, actually.
Yeah,
that might be like Plan A, because you just get like one of the Tyrants that you're not slinging at people, and you just run up, you interrogate from the midline, and then Swarmlord pulls that dude back, and you just do that every turn.
Yeah, like the ones that you're waiting for your opponent to like get into the midfield.
Yeah. There's only one Warlord trait, chat. Both Tyrants have physiologies, but
and then there's what is it? Aren't they changing one of the GT Warpcraft rituals? I forgot which one it is, but you don't need line of sight on an enemy character.
That's interrogation.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that one's good.
Yep.
Or
yeah, that one's very good.
That's in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, that might be like the Plan A, unless you're up against like Grey Knights or somebody with a 4+ deny. You just be like, we're just gonna do that, because like, I mean, what are they gonna do? Hide from a Hive Tyrant? They can move 40 inches and then do it from line of sight. Like you could have one of these Hive Tyrants double move to like a ruin in their deployment zone and then just interrogate for the rest of the game, and then get engaged also.
With a 4-up invuln, -1 damage, -1 to... That would be the guy that's -1 damage, -1 to wound.
Yeah, but that's if they can attack you, right? Because you're like...
Yeah.
You can look... there's always like a line of sight blocker that's in a weird place, right? It's like, not where they're castled or where they have less stuff. They've got one flank that's anchored by like 10 intercessors or whatever, and you're like, this guy's just going to run over there. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
And then he just
Then you have the
interrogates for the rest of the
Carnifexes.
game. And
Yeah,
there's
you
also
have
Carnifexes.
to clear chaff. Like this is a pretty solid list without Forge World. Like I actually think I like this more than some of the Forge World ones.
I think I'm gonna play this list.
Yeah.
This list seems sick as hell. I think that
Yeah.
you run into problems when you hit T8 is the problem, because you're capped at strength 7 unless outside the Hive Guard. So like you play the mirror match with this, and you're just like, fuck. How do I deal with Harridan?
Well, if you're up against something that's T8, you can still run what's it called? The 2 CP +1 to wound.
Boosh. Yeah, that's probably actually just fine. You're +1 to wound. Yeah, +1 to wound. Yeah, it's a lot, but if you're planning to like double fight and just dump all the CP into it, I mean, but the plus D3 attack, dude, and you have enough psychic powers that you can get all the psychic powers from the other discipline too.
Yeah, and then like even if you do go up against Harridan, you have the Bone Swords guy to ignore his invuln, anyways, right? With AP3.
Yeah.
So it's saving on 6s.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then
I'm
Harridan
cool
just kills you, but you know it is what it is.
Yeah, you know,
He's like, boom, take that, take 12 damage. Harridan's like, all right.
Yeah, but guess what? I could fight on death at top bracket.
Yeah, you kill the Harridan and it just murders you on the fight on death. He's like, what are you gonna do? Fight on death at bottom bracket, little Hive Tyrant? And you're just like, oh, Harridan, why are you so mean?
Yeah, I like this list.
Sick.
I think it's good.
Absolutely.
And then,
sick.
like, if you really want to, you can drop Pyrovores, you can drop a squad of Tyranid Warriors. That's 70, 80 points of something, and then you could just put something else in there instead.
Yeah.
And you're good.
Well, the MSU Warriors shatter because we don't like the restriction on the Army of Renown is that you can't really like if you're gonna take units of something to stand on objectives, it's gonna be Warriors.
Yeah,
because they're cheap. They are, you know, pretty ridiculous to kill for their points cost, and they are the only infantry you can take in your troop slot. So there you are.
and Raveners as well if you want the extra movement.
Yeah,
like you can take out. You could probably take out a warrior squad for Raveners instead.
Yeah,
they're 60 points, right? So
yeah,
you have options there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do have to go. And I have to go because I'm going to be streaming a T5S2 game literally right now over on Twitch. So if everyone wants to continue the hangout, come on over to Twitch, twitch.tv/tacticaltortoisetv. I'm going to be live in probably just a few minutes. So, yeah, just head on over there after this. But I guess you'll go ahead and wrap up here. Matt, thanks so much for coming on and talking to me. This was super duper fun. And I think the discussion's going to continue, right? Next week?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, for Chapter Tactic.
Yes. So Matt invited me on to his podcast. Do you guys stream that? Is that streamed? Or is that...
No, we recorded.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
we just recorded.
We're going to record next week, and we're going to talk more about Tyranids. So, yeah, check out the Chapter Tactic podcast. That'll be in 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah, it'll go up. We'll record it on Tuesday next week, and then it'll go up on Wednesday.
There you go. So next Wednesday, and we'll basically do this again. It should be sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, where can people find you? For those who weren't here at the start.
Yeah,
where
for
are you
sure.
at online?
If you go into an alleyway, if you make sure that's very, very dark and you look behind you, that's where you can find me. That's probably the best way. No, I'm kidding. You can check me out at youtube.com/dicecheck or twitch.tv/dicecheck. Every Saturday we do battle reports. We upload them on like Mondays. And yeah, boy.
Yeah, super good. Big thanks to you for coming on. Shout out as well for everybody who missed it. Exclamation point giveaway in the chat. We're giving away a Tyranid Army. So go ahead and jump on that. There's a billion ways you can enter. And if you're a patron, then you get extra entries, which is sick.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm going to be live in a little bit. And there's Craft Worlds on this stream, by the way. Anybody who's an Eldar fan, pure frickin' Craft Worlds made it to a finals table, chat.
Yo, let's go.
Sick. It's going to be Craft Worlds. It's great. It's going to be sweet. So Yeah. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks again, Matt, for coming on, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. But cheers, everybody. Remember, keep it classy, folks, and have happy wargaming, as always.
Bye-bye.
And stay nitty, I guess. I don't know. Be buggy. That one's better.